Hey there, I'm Jim.
And I'm Matt.
I'm Dusty.
From Dad's Doing Nerd Shit.
A podcast on the Fandom Limb Media Network.
We talk about all kinds of nerdy stuff.
From Dungeons and Dragons to the MCU.
From video games to semi-current space news.
And anything else that catches our attention.
New episodes go live every Monday morning on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We can also be found on Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter.
So roll the dice and join us as we discuss the things we love and the culture around being a nerd.
Hello everyone, Screenplay Archaeology host KiramidHead here. Before we get into today's episodes, I just want to get some intro stuff out of the way. First things first, we are now part of the Fandom Limb Media Podcast Network, so I'm going to link their site down below. And that's why you would have just heard a promo for another podcast, because they're another one of the shows on the network. And as per usual, if you like the show and you'd like to know more, you can check out our social media pages on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, and even Instagram now. The show also has a Patreon if you're willing to gift money, but you don't really need to if you don't want to. And we also have a Discord server, which you can join if you want to chat with, the group members there. So that link is going to be down below as well. So yeah, sit back, guys, and enjoy the show. All right, everyone. Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Screenplay Archaeology podcast. I'm your host, KiramidHead.
And I'm your special co-host, I was going to say, Jake. How you doing? I'm from Hot Quality Content, a.k.a. your favorite channel ever, I hope.
It's one I watch regularly. I'm like your only fan.
That's enough to warm my heart, KiramidHead.
Joe Quinn doesn't count because he's on the channel.
Yeah, he's on the channel now. Yeah, he's a permanent mainstay character now. I say, as if he's not a real human being.
No, he's Poochie.
Yeah, exactly. We are reuniting our great grand forces of screenplay archaeology skills to not talk about Dark Universe Van Helsing this time, but instead talk about the hit almost made film Green Arrow Escape from Supermax, written by David S. Goyer and is his name Marks? Justin Marks?
Well, it's written according on the script. It's just Justin Marks.
Ah, so David S. Goyer was just there in a helpful role.
Yeah, I think he was.
Role.
Well, I think he was like mentoring Justin Marks at the time.
Maybe it would have been a directed thing, like you were saying earlier.
He might have been on board to direct it, but he definitely would have been a producer.
Yep. Well, in any case, I read this thing. You know, it's funny, if I could give a little bit of context before you dive directly in, because I'm excited. I'm pretty jazzed to talk about this. The way that, when you were like, hey, Jake, I want to bring you back for another episode, the way it's structured is, here's my big list of scripts that I just have, just sitting.
Yeah, there's my 4, hints. Like, I got Bride of Frankenstein script.
Exactly. And you threw some stuff at me, and I was pretty intrigued, I mean... Carnivore by Wachowski's is a hot contender, but I saw the Supermax title and I remember 10 years ago that was a thing that was almost happening, and I was like, holy shit, can you imagine if freaking this comes out alongside the Dark Knight trilogy and DC is gonna launch this big huge thing? That'd be amazing. So I completely forgot about it for a good portion of my life, and now here we are, and I read that title and I'm like, oh my god, he has the thing that almost happened. I want to read it now. So I asked for this one over the rest, and I'm pretty excited to talk about it.
Yeah, you were razor thin between this or the Wachowski Plastic Man, and
yes.
I was I could have sworn you were going to go for that.
I was in a DC mood, Kieran. I don't know what to tell you, man. I didn't want to do more fucking Dark Universe shit. Although if you get any more of those scripts, by all means, I'm there.
I only have the early Dracula Untold drafts, which would be different enough to cover, actually. And the early Mummy drafts, which would also be different enough to cover.
That sounds... I would not mind an early Mummy draft or two. But, if you get there fucking... What are they doing? The Phantom of the Opera and Hunchback or whatever the hell. But, yeah. No, so...
The Creeper.
I got... the Rondo Hatton in modern time, yeah. Yeah, no, I expected a bad script. And you know what? That's all I'll say right now. We'll get into it.
Yeah, and so just the basic premise of this, before I go into like a little bit of background, is that it's basically Oliver Queen. We basically catch him right in the middle of his career. He's been Green Arrow for about 9 years, if I did my math right, reading the script.
Yes, you're right. Yep.
And so he's chugging along, and he gets framed for killing this colonel who's part of this anti-vigilante organization called Checkmate. And he gets captured, and he gets sent to the mysterious Supermax prison, which has all the supervillains in it, basically, including a bunch he put away. And so he has to kind of form some tenuous bonds with some of these guys in order to break out and escape and clear his name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's basically the premise that they were trying to go with. And it seemed a little ambitious for the first Green Arrow movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like it would be like part 2 or 3 of the Green Arrow story.
Especially since he's been Green Arrow for 9 years.
Yeah, there's so much like lore and like really interesting things you could do that I feel like they just wanted to skip entirely over. And we'll talk about what the script does with that.
And just to give it some context, Arrow did like an 8-episode kind of Supermax arc, and they waited until season 7 to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they finally did it, I guess, but I was already tapped way out of Arrow.
Yeah, I tapped out like in the back end of season 4. I just couldn't do it.
I didn't even make it past the season 4 premiere. I finished season 3. I was like, that was bad. And then I gave season 4, episode 1 a shot. I was like, no, thank you. I'm done.
Well, I mean, with everybody's favorite actor, that dude from... God, what the fuck? What? God, I know this guy's name. The dude who played Damien Dark.
Neil McDonough.
Neil McDonough, that's right. The guy who's a good actor who is consistently in shitty movies.
Yeah, he's a real Michael Fassbender.
Oh.
Yeah, no, Supermax, for me, I will just say that it was a very interesting and occasionally funny read. So
yeah,
I'm excited to dive in.
It's got some intentionally and unintentionally funny stuff.
Yeah, it has both, which is I did not expect that it would have. It would have one or the other, is what I anticipated.
Yeah, and of course, before we go into it, some contextual stuff. Let me just check this article and see, because the guy who actually did the writing on the script was Justin Marks, who has 2 produced credits, which is the Jungle Book remake, which is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li, which is not. Hi, Neil McDonough.
Not at all.
And so this is the thing that it just kind of seemed to come together in 2008.
Yeah, it almost happened. And I feel like one of the reasons that it didn't was because Nolan was very stingy about, like, I want to be the only guy trying to do stuff right now. So, like, that's why, like, Justice League Mortal fell through, you know?
Well, Justice League Mortal fell through for a bunch of reasons.
That is true. It's more than that.
Australia writer's strike, Australian tax credits, and then them just going like, let's have one Batman.
Right.
Yeah, I did that episode earlier this year, so it's still semi-fresh.
Interesting, yeah.
But it says here that he was developing the script with Justin Marks, and it's not clear if he was going to direct it or produce it. I'm going to check around. See, I'm going to check and look for a little bit more information. But, Goyer is one of those guys who has this weird mixed track record where it's like he does great stuff, like contributing to the Dark Knight trilogy. He does, the first 2 Blade movies are really good. And then he wrote and directed Blade 3, which is not good.
Yeah, he did write and direct Blade 3, didn't he? Damn. I keep thinking it's 2 that he did, but that was Del Toro, actually.
Yeah, Del Toro directed 2. They offered him 3, but he said, fuck off, I'm making Hellboy, which was the right choice. It
was the right choice.
But yeah, I can't find anything saying who would direct it, but it seems like that they developed the story together. But Goyer did, the Blade movies are good. Some of his unproduced work is interesting. Like, he did multiple unproduced versions of Ghost Rider.
Yep.
One of which got taken and rewritten into Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
Yikes. That is a tough call. Damn.
And just like his Flash script is the best.
Really?
Yes, it was really good. Marks has had some unproduced credits as well. Like he did a He-Man script, which I covered like a year or 2 ago now, which was like the Warner Brothers like kind of like dark serious He-Man movie, and has at least one scene in it which is a direct rip from his script for Legend of Chun-Li. And he's done some good stuff. Like, I didn't mind his Voltron. I mean, I like this script.
The amount of times they are bringing up Legend of Chun-Li is a little concerning.
Well, I mean, it's one of his only credits.
It's just the kind of thing that, like, should that really be said ever, you know?
Yeah. And he wrote a Shadow of the Colossus script, which was not great.
Okay.
But yeah, so he has an interesting track record, and Goyer is like the DC guy, which is interesting.
I don't know why he is. I mean, sure, yeah, he produced Dark Knight or something, but, like, aside from that, I don't think he's done a whole lot of, like, wonderful material. Because
he did the most work on the Dark Knight trilogy. The most work he did was on Batman Begins, and that really impressed Warner Brothers to the point where they kept giving him work. He apparently just has a strong working relationship with them because I mean, he's had to deal with shit getting canceled for stupid reasons like this and his Flash movie, and yet he still manages to work with them, and he co-wrote that Green Lantern Corps movie, which maybe that's gonna happen.
Hey, look, at the end of the day, he's a writer for hire. The DC pays him for scripts. That doesn't mean they're going to make those scripts. So,
yeah, that's true.
You know? So I'm sure he sold his Flash and his Green Lantern many, many times. And he probably sold this too, I would bet.
Well, I mean, they would. I don't think it would have been sold. I think it was commissioned. So.
I used the wrong word there. Yeah. He probably made a good paycheck off this. So.
And in his Marvel stuff, most of it didn't get made. So.
Yeah. Wild shit.
His Venom script. Ooh.
I gotta. Have you done an episode on that yet?
Nope.
Okay, when you do that, that's gonna be like first in my watch later.
Okay.
Because I want to know about that. So, yeah. So that brings us to here, Escape from Supermax, and I have 2 pages of notes.
I have 12.
50 pages. Of
notes. I have 12.
Yeah,
because I write out every plot beat just so I can remember them all.
I take notes the same way that I do on Best in Worst Pictures podcast, which is that, like, I'll write like a teeny little, like, 2-sentence thing or like a paragraph here and there that I can talk ad nauseum about, because that just brings up and reminds ideas that I have in my head. I just gotta organize it in some way.
Tattoos on your body.
Yeah, just like Memento.
And I mean, I would talk more about Arrow, but it's not really relevant.
It really isn't. It's only relevant to say that Arrow didn't exist when this script was made or was going to be made. Like, there was no CW show, there's no Arrowverse, so this would have been the world's first introduction to a live-action Green Arrow.
Yeah, in fact, that's the Green Arrow thing most people know.
Right,
like,
exactly.
I've not actually read any Green Arrow comics. I was looking at some, but I didn't have time to read both the script and, like, the Longbow Hunters.
Yeah, same. Like, this movie seems so weird to me. Because, as we keep saying, like, Green Arrow has never appeared in a movie. He's never appeared in a TV show at this point. And, you know, I would imagine that you'd want to get at least, like, one standalone Green Arrow movie first where you actually get to, like, see him be a hero. But, and this is, like, immediately in the script, so it's not, like, jumping the gun or anything. But, like, we get, like, he goes immediately to prison. So we get, like, barely any Green Arrow content. You know what I mean?
Instead, he's basically just Bullseye throwing stuff.
Yeah, he's forced to be a guy who can throw really good, like so good that he can bank a thing off a thing. It's just, yeah, we'll get there.
I mean, it's cool. But yeah, and Green Arrow,
fun.
It's like, well, I mean, there was the Smallville Green Arrow, which people liked him. But I mean, Green Arrow, I only really have read his brief appearance at the end of Dark Knight Returns. It's like, I know he's like, Green Arrow is like super liberal, but what brand of liberalism changes depending on the writer.
Right, yeah. All kinds of politics going on.
It's one of those things. It's like how the Question is like an objectivist.
Yep.
Weird shit like that. But yeah, so that's all I really know. So this script is like, to get into it, it opens with a brief flashback to 12 years ago with a younger, specified early 20s Oliver Queen thrashing around in the Caribbean Sea. It says ocean, but it's not an ocean, so I corrected it to sea in my notes.
Oh, appreciated.
having fallen off of his party yacht. And it cuts ahead to the present day where Oliver's best friend, Will Hackett. I don't know why that name fucking makes me giggle.
It's a great name. It's a great name, really.
He's like English, and we find out later he's also Oliver's lawyer. He's giving a speech at a Queen Industries benefit talking about how much his friend changed in the 3 years he was missing. So he was missing for 3 years. It's been 12 years since he fell off the boat. So he's been Green Arrow for 9 years.
Yeah, you've had 9 years of content that you're not showing me. Yeah, I'm aware.
And so, like, in the crowd, there's this older CEO guy named Marcus Cross who lifts a glass to Oliver, but Oliver's, like, doesn't return the favor because he doesn't like Cross.
Yep.
Which we get into why later. And we then cut away to the Star City branch of the Checkmate World Security Initiative, where we meet Colonel, I'm going to fuck this name up, Taleb Beni Khalid.
Yeah, that's a name that you have to get used to saying because it comes back later.
Yeah, it keeps coming back. Yeah, maybe he's related to DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled.
And so he's overseeing the setup of the building. They're like installing the computers and stuff. And this was really funny, this bit of exposition, where there's an interview on the TV of the guy himself explaining about how Checkmate is against masked vigilantes, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm like, that he's watching himself on TV.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
It's funny because they show that interview later. So it's like, you don't need to put it in here.
I know, they keep going back to it. Yep. You know, news position takes a pretty prominent role in this script over and over again.
Oh yeah, definitely. No title cards, no.
Yeah, except 12 years ago, but other than that,
but that's in the slug line, so
yeah, it's not that bad.
That wouldn't necessarily be in the movie. But the building is then attacked by a shadowy figure who kills all of the guards with green arrows. There's like mentions of like what his shoes look like, which is important later.
Yep.
And he drags off Colonel Khalid. And back at the benefit, Hackett is handing over the microphone to Oliver. And they mention, Cross is trying to buy out Queen Industries, blah, blah, blah. So corporate takeover, Iron Fist, Netflix.
Yep, pretty much. Oh, I totally dodged that show.
Yes, you did.
I'm luckier than you.
Yeah, you are.
I want to point out, I think you passed it, but there's a line where Oliver Queen's friend Hackett says that, Oliver Queen is a modern day Robin Hood, which is very literal. Like, it's if somebody was like, yeah, Bruce Wayne is awesome. He's like a modern day giant bat. Like, it stood out to me as like, why would you throw that in there? You know?
Well, it's because he knows.
He knows, but like,
it's him being a jackass.
It definitely is, which is developed a little bit later.
Yeah, so it's like Oliver, he's about to take the podium when he hears about the attack on Checkmate over an earpiece that's tapping into the police band, and walks out, leaving Hackett to cover for him, because, he knows Oliver. He's basically Oliver's right-hand guy who knows everything.
Yep.
And we then see him running across the rooftops in full costume as Green Arrow, listening to the police track the suspect to the warehouse district. Mm-hmm. And he gets to the toy warehouse the suspect has been traced to. He gets there ahead of the cops, only finding the body of the colonel with a green arrow in his chest, identical to the ones that he himself carries. And that's when it comes over to the police band that the suspect has been identified as Green Arrow, and a SWAT team bursts in and surrounds Oliver. He's like, oh shit.
Yeah, how was the suspect identified as Green Arrow if he was there first? Like, the cops were showing up after he got there.
I guess they were examining the other crime scene.
Maybe there were other several Green Arrow the objects around, and they said, "Oh my God, it's Green Arrow the guy."
Yeah, it's because all those other guys were killed with green arrows.
Okay. See, the way the script read to me was just like there was that one world leader that he killed.
Oh no, he slaughtered the entire room full of guards. It just doesn't ever come up again.
Yeah, you're right. Because Amanda Waller, she only brings up the one. We'll get into it later. But yeah.
He raises his hands, but he only does it to shoot lines up to the rafters and flee, before blowing the rafters so he can slide down to the floor. He does a lot of unnecessary stuff.
So much stuff. Like, there's a lot of parkour, twirling, cartwheels. And what do you think about the cartwheels? Wow, the crossbows on the forearms.
They're okay. They're mainly there to go, that will look cool in the trailer.
Pretty much, where he zooms up.
I mean, it is kind of funny that the guy who's known for using a bow is using crossbows.
Right, I feel like he's like, I've mastered this art of this very difficult thing to shoot, and then I also have, like, basically diet guns on my hands. You know?
And so he then flees into the men's room, and here's another completely unnecessary thing he does, where he knocks the hand dryers off the wall to, like, have heated air fill the room, and cracks open a radiator, causing the room to fill with methane, and it causes this massive explosion. And then he crashes through the window and zip lines down to the roof of a nearby building. He didn't need to do that.
He didn't. He absolutely did not. No. Yeah.
We're trying to get Michael Bay to direct.
Oh, don't you dare.
It's okay. There's no Romeo and Juliet scene in this.
Yeah, thank God. This isn't Lobo.
That would actually fit in Lobo. However, he is soon surrounded by too many cops to fight, and he's forced to drop his weapons and surrender. And Hackett, who is also Oliver's lawyer, arrives at the police station downtown soon after, where a Lieutenant Cameron, who actually is a comic book character I discovered, tells him that the DA has been wanting the Green Arrow put away for years. And Oliver is in a holding cell, chained up in midair, still in costume with the hood and mask gone. It's mentioned that when they tried to take off the mask, he beat the shit out of the guy.
Yeah. The way this plays out, we skip literally all of the glory of being Green Arrow and just chain him up by the 10th page.
Yep. It's a very unusual superhero movie.
It is. It is absolutely unusual.
And so he tells Hackett that Cross must have set him up and they have to assume that they've been compromised.
Mm-hmm.
We've been compromised. You have to murder Felicity in her sleep. Burn the bitch.
Oh, burn the bitch. God damn. We were just talking about that off recording. But yeah. There's a scene, I don't know, I think it's the one you're talking. No, it's where he talks to Cross. But
yeah, which is coming up.
Okay, yeah, I'll let you get there then.
Yeah, and so Colonel Khalid's interview about masked vigilantes plays on TV again. And so yeah, we didn't need to see it the other time.
This is I don't know, our third news position so far.
Yeah, because there's one coming up where there's all these headlines and stuff about what's happened.
Yep.
News footage. And there's a DA and Hackett are watching with the DA going, this establishes a motivation for us. And so it's mentioned that the DA and the cops just hate Green Arrow and want him put away no matter what.
Pretty much. I mean, one, maybe two news position scenes I can forgive. The best, some of the best movies ever have some news position, which is understandable. But I feel like it's really overused.
I wish it had the old-timey news position where it's just a newspaper spinning at the screen.
Spider-Man, no more! Unmasked!
And so they then raid Oliver's mansion, which it says brownstone, and then it says mansion, so there's a bit of a fuck-up there.
Oh, okay.
And they find his hidden cache of Green Arrow weapons, which gives them even more evidence. And they find it, really fucking easily. He just happens to, go if we push this thing here, it's going to open the secret room.
Yeah, no, that's total bullshit. This is like Trapdoors 101. You don't make it an object that's really touchable, like a cool ass arrow hanging from a fucking thing. You make it a random book on a shelf, and a boring one, like a encyclopedia. You make that the lever, because nobody is gonna go get an encyclopedia. They have Google. You know what I mean? That's the trapdoor lever.
There's a scene with a bookshelf later in this, and I know exactly which book it would be.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
It's like in Wrath of Khan, where you see all the books he has in his little shelter, and it's all these novels, then statutes.
Literally, of course, that's the one. Why wouldn't it be?
It's Battlefield Earth.
Pretty much.
No, but they find it immediately, which is really funny.
They really do.
And this is where we get the endless news reports where it's where it basically establishes, because we learned from the speech at the beginning that Oliver Queen is he's become this really generous guy. He helps out with charities, he helps the poor, and in Star City, he helps out all these underprivileged neighborhoods and stuff like that. And here we find out he basically does the same thing as Green Arrow. He looks after the little guy, and so the people of the city are totally behind him.
No, that makes sense. Yep.
To the point where there ends up being protesters at his trial.
I mean, come on. If I lived in this fucking town and Green Arrow, who by the way is one of the most badass DC superheroes, lived and put away crime regularly, including supervillains that could freeze everybody and kill everybody, yeah, you're damn right. I'm no, please just keep letting him do his thing.
Yeah, and I mean, if it was maybe Green Arrow, then yeah, sure, put him away.
Yeah, because he's just a sociopath. He just fucking murders everyone.
Yeah, the first half of the first season is him just going, "You have failed this city," and then kill someone.
Like literally like execution. It's like after season 1 is when he like decides like, you know what? I think I'll stop flat out murdering every single person I meet. He's like Daniel Craig's Bond.
Oh yeah, I was about to say that.
He's just like a crazy person. No, as you're mentioning, no, the news position is like ramping up in full force right now. Like every page. Every single page.
Like this is the big one.
This is the big one, yep.
And I glossed over a lot of it, but it's basically going to like multiple people going like, "Nah, man, who's going to look at us?"
Pretty much.
And so Cross visits Oliver at the police station, who's like tries to get him to sign the acquisition papers so he can take over the company. He's like, "No, if you do this, you're going to be like..." He's basically like a shitty landlord is the idea you get.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's going to like fuck up all the poor neighborhoods and stuff like that. Oliver's like, "No, I'm not going to do it." And so we then go to court. We skip the entire trial. We go straight to the jury finding him guilty.
Dude, they're speed running all of this. And also, there's a line of dialogue that Marcus Cross has. I forget exactly, but it's like, you know, you're horrible at Oliver. You're so bad at being the CEO. You're unfit. You know, you can't run anything. To his point, he's right. I mean, the way it's structured, every time that there's a police radio for a crime, Oliver immediately leaves whatever he's doing. I mean, like, I work a job right now. If I walked out on my shift every time there was, like, a problem and told, like, excuses about it, I'd be canned in, like, a day. Like, are you kidding me? Like, dude, there's no way this guy's gonna, like, be a good CEO at his job.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that, but he somehow managed 9 years.
Like, at least because Cross, as the script goes on, gets more and more villainous. But at this point, I'm like, okay, Cross has a point. I'm on his side, you know?
And so Oliver's found guilty, and the crowd is like, "No."
Yes, you're so right. There's a no moment, and there's another no moment later too. I fucking love it.
They're like, "Oh," like they're like it's like they're like the court is just so disorderly,
right?
And then you get the protesters outside the trial, like denouncing the fact that they've lost their champion.
Yeah, no, how could you do this? Yeah. The one I'm thinking about is like it's a character death, and it's literally like character name. No, with like ... It's like very, very dramatic.
Yeah. I got it. I think it's like there's like 2 specific ones it could be. I'm thinking of.
Oh, geez, are there more than what I'm thinking of? Holy crap! Yeah, this script is not perfect.
No, but it's good.
I'm enjoying it. Yes, I enjoy this script. Yes.
Yeah, and so like the judge ducks into a limousine with Cross, saying that he can't possibly sentence Oliver to death because they'll fucking riot and kill me, man.
Yeah, but like, I mean, well, first of all, the scene just doesn't make sense because Cross, if he's like behind everything secretly, he wouldn't be in the same limo where you could like a press person could take a picture of him, you know, hypothetically through like as he's opening the door. Like that's just a risky move. But in any case, yeah, I mean, you've already damned the dude that people love to like be guilty, so they're already mad at you. I mean, you may as well, you know.
Yeah, that's true. And so it's like. And so Cross is like, "Here, take this. It's an envelope with the Checkmate logo on it." And the judge is looking through it and goes, "This is worse than death."
He didn't need the... He could just be like, "Hey, send him to Supermax." One sentence. What the hell is it? Is it just a note that reads Supermax? Is that it? Like, what's in the envelope?
Supermax, we're going to have this woman just mad at him for no reason.
Literally, it's like a detailed schematic plan of the prison that they could have just said.
Make him share a cell with King Shark.
Oh, which one though? Because if it's Sly Stallone, I'm totally down. I would want to be in a cell with him.
Yeah, the Stallone one is the best one.
Easily heard.
Fake mustache. And so we go to the sentencing itself, and right before the judge hands down the sentence, a squad of armored Checkmate soldiers pour into the room, and I'm just imagining like the weird like spec op guys from the Nightmare sequences with the Superman patches, just with a Checkmate patch.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I was actually imagining because they're in all of their descriptions, the Checkmate people are like super duper armored up with like Kevlar and extra weapons and shit. So I keep imagining like John Wick 3, the people that break into the Continental that are
that's
like bulletproof. Fucking like you can't even beat them no matter how hard you try. You have to like go into the back of their neck with the gun 3 times or something.
Yeah.
Like it's great. That's what I'm imagining in this scene.
And like Hackett's like, "What the fuck?" And the judge says, "Oh, we got no faith that a regular prison can hold him, and so Oliver will be sent to the Supermax Penitentiary for metahumans." I'm like, he's not a metahuman.
If you're Hackett and you're like appealing this decision, it's super easy to make the case that like, hey, no, he's just a fucking guy. Like, come on.
But then again, we find out they have plenty of just really smart guys in there.
They do. And also this is all like kangaroo court. This is all corrupt anyway, so I guess it does track.
It is really funny that this is a Prison Break movie. And then the Arrowverse, like anytime Captain Cold showed up, it was just a Prison Break joke.
It was. It pretty much was. Yeah. Him and fucking Heatwave, baby.
And so Hackett meets with Oliver in his holding cell and is like, hey, the appeal didn't go through. And Cross has started the audit of Queen Industries, trying to get Oliver's standing revoked. And so Oliver signs over basically power of attorney to Hackett so that Cross can't get to the Green Arrow assets. You know, the secret slush fund.
Right. Yeah, the whole, like, the very obvious arrow hanging on the wall that you can unlock everything with a touch. Yeah, that the secret assets, of course.
Yes, secret.
Yeah,
air
quote,
quotes. Air quotes, not the bad guy, kid.
Was that a Daredevil 2003 reference?
Yes, it was.
How dare you bring that up in my house?
I'm going to have to make another one because of some of the shit Oliver does.
Yeah, I guess so.
I have to make some bullseye jokes in
here. This is basically like a way more fun version of Daredevil 2003, isn't it?
Oh. And so he's like, oh, by the way, I'm definitely going to be escaping the prison. I'm going to catch the real killer. And then they hear noises outside and look out the window to see that hundreds of people have formed a candlelight vigil in Green Arrow's honor.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, we're just mourning all those fucking people from Man of Steel.
Still, if you seek his monument, look around you. You're the last ones left. Please, dear God, run.
And soon enough, we get like a montage where Oliver's hair is buzzed, his beard is shaved off, so at least he actually has the beard here, and his costume tucked away in a plastic evidence bag as he is strapped to a special chair.
You know what? For all the shit that like you can give this movie, at least they gave Green Arrow the goatee for a few minutes, because Arrow gave it for 0 minutes in like 8 seasons and crossovers.
They didn't just do that. They took away everybody's facial hair in that show.
They did, didn't they? They did.
Deadshot didn't get a mustache.
I know. Damn, that, yeah. I really wanted that goatee. I wanted it. I kept watching, hoping that in the later seasons they'd finally give it to him, and they never did.
No, they just gave him a beard in that shitty Legends of Tomorrow episode.
Pretty much.
Fucking fake gray in his hair. I will never get over that. That was so fun.
And even if like I hear that like season 8 has it, then I'd be like, well, I've already tapped out. I'm not going to watch this.
Well, the comments I read said he's barely in season 8.
I guess that makes sense because he's like, spoiler for Arrow, I guess, but like he's died, you know? So like, what the hell are they doing?
Oh, they did kill him off. Wow.
Yeah, they killed him off in Supergirl to bring him back to then kill him off in like a different show.
Okay, I don't even want the context. I can't process that.
There's so much. Yeah, there's so much.
So it's just as stupid as regular comics.
Pretty much, yeah. They basically have created comics on screen with the CW verse for a time.
Yeah. And so Oliver gets strapped to a special chair. He does not get his balls whipped by Mads Mikkelsen.
Unfortunate.
And he gets taken out of the jail by Checkmate. And he's taken... Checkmate is actually a comic book thing. They're
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, they are. They're like an organization. They're like an intelligence spec ops organization that got like at least like whatever the status quo was before New 52 happened. Like
I wonder if it's associated with Oh, sorry. I was just gonna ask if it was associated with Task Force X.
It is.
Like,
it is. It's like a branch. It's like a branch of Task Force X.
Oh, that makes total sense. Why Walder is gonna appear in the coming pages.
Waller actually created it, and it got like subverted by Maxwell Lord, who turned it into an anti-metahuman group.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay,
then
that kind of makes sense.
And then Wonder Woman snapped his neck like a twig.
Yeah.
Should have put that in the movie, Patty.
Yeah, I can't believe she didn't do that.
That's like the one thing people know Maxwell Lord for is getting his neck fucking broke.
Yeah, that's like the thing in like anything.
Justice League Immortal did it. Granted, they had Batman do it.
Yeah, which is a very choice decision.
Yeah. But so, he's taken to an airplane hangar where the checkmate operatives ask him for his last words. It's like something dumb.
I have it here. Tell Cross I'll see him when I get back.
I'll be seeing you again.
Literally, it's I'll be seeing you again.
And he does this thing. He does like the thing from The Prestige where Christian Bale slips his cuffs. And then they just beat on him and they put him into they tranquilize him and put him into a steel-plated transfer box for the flight.
Yep.
And so we go
it's funny too.
Yeah.
It's really weird because like if he can break out of the cuffs, why wouldn't he try and stinge the escape like before he gets to the prison? If he can already kind of free himself and just beat people up and run away. I mean, I'd rather skip the prison break part. Just break from courtroom. You already have your hands free now. Come on. But whatever.
I guess he didn't want to get shot by the checkmate guys.
He's immortal to bullets in this fucking script.
Yeah, that is true.
They either miss or like he has a plan to like
he's
throw
got
something at it.
He's got his own personal magnetic field that makes him arc away.
Is it pretty much exactly?
He's Fortune from Metal Gear Solid 2.
I don't know if you're thinking of the same scene that I'm thinking of, but it's in that hallway where they just unload bullets, and it's like, how the fuck is he fine? The script has it like he just runs off and gets cover after they already shoot.
Yeah.
Like, what? So whatever. Well, we'll continue.
But so we go to the Cross Company boardroom, and Cross gets a call confirming that Oliver is gone, and he tells the room full of lawyers that he wants to take over done quickly. Don't even want his name on the fucking letterhead.
That is that's a good line. I'll give it that. It's pretty good.
And then we see Hackett is in the room as well. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, no. Twist.
This non-comics character is secretly the bad guy.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I have some pretty negative feelings about Hackett being the villain.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
It doesn't.
His motivations are really dumb when we get into them.
Yeah, and it was such like a heel turn that I almost thought it was like a double cross. I had a theory that, well, I will talk about it. I had a theory that like he hired somebody to assassinate Oliver later because he would have faith that Oliver would win and then get bow and arrows from that and have a better chance of escape. I thought he was like double crossing the double cross.
That would be a better twist. There's another character portrayal in this I don't like.
Right. But like the script, as we read along, it's going to play it off for real. So it's just dumb, and it doesn't. You're right. It doesn't make any fucking sense, and it's not set up.
Yeah, there's another character I was expecting a twist with, and it didn't happen. So we'll get to that. But so Oliver is kept in the crate for the whole flight. He's like a dog. Pretty much. He's the wishbone version of Green Arrow. It's taken out in an airplane hangar where a computer chip called a parallax device. No, not a Green Lantern reference.
Unfortunate. Which is considering it's a DC movie. Why isn't that what it's like?
It's powered from bits of the poopy monster left over from the Green Lantern movie.
This is a direct prequel or sequel, depending on time, to Green Lantern 2011.
We just made Ian happy.
We did. We very much did.
But so it's called, and so he passes out again. He comes to chained up in a room called the Baptism Gallery, and he's surrounded by guards on a level above the ground floor. It's funny, they call it the Baptism Gallery, and they make the point that all you would need to clean it is a hose, but they never actually do that.
A bucket of water, yep.
And then he meets the prison warden, Amanda Waller, and laughs when she says he'll be there for the rest of his life, and she's really pissy about that. She has a guard push a button, making his parallax device flash red, which makes him violently convulsed. Basically, this is like a magic button that they can push, and depending on the character, they can do anything to him, really.
Yeah, whether it's like electricity, or if it's just like, oh, I feel shitty, or I'll bleed, or I'll pass out. Anything.
Yeah, if it's a piece of the Green Lantern movie parallax, then it just gives them massive diarrhea.
Yeah.
They make smaller parallax.
Oh my god, dude.
And she mentions that oh yeah, Colonel Khalid, he was a friend of hers.
Yeah.
That's Amanda Waller in this script. She's bitchy prison warden.
Bitchy prison warden. She doesn't really get a moment, she's just kind of there to move the plot along. I could have used not to give 2016 Suicide Squad credit, because I'm really not. But Amanda Waller had a strong characterization in that, and she had her like holy shit moment where she like executed the entire room full of people helping her. You know, like there's nothing like that in this.
Yeah, and she doesn't feel particularly Amanda Waller here.
Yeah, no, it does not feel like Task Force X leader.
You could change her name to Jane Doe, and it would make no difference.
Straight up, absolutely.
If you could literally, you could change her name to Diana Prince, and it would make about as much sense.
That would raise some interesting question marks.
Yeah, because I mean, she would have as much in common with Wonder Woman as she does with Amanda Waller.
I guess so. You make an excellent point.
In fact, her characterization here, it's only worse than the Green Lantern movie characterization because she's in it more and we actually get a characterization.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of funny. Like, I kept thinking, like, at the end of the script, because it was Amanda Waller, I kept thinking, like, by the end, she would realize, like, ooh, interesting. Maybe I could weaponize the villains to some extent because they proved useful in escaping from this prison. Or, like, I thought it was going to lead to her becoming the Amanda Waller we know. You know what I mean? But they didn't do that.
Well, I thought it was going to turn out that she was, like, she's posing as the prison warden, but she has her own agenda going on in the background.
Yep. Another double cross. This script is so rife with things you could double cross that you didn't double cross.
Yep. And so Oliver gets stripped and beaten by the guards, including this redneck guy named Panati.
Yep.
Who is important, kind of.
He is important. He's very important.
And they force him to march naked down the cell block corridor with his new uniform in hand. And of course it's green.
Yes, I saw that, and like later on we learn that like there's color schemes to what types of prisoners there are, but of course he's gonna wear fucking green.
And I don't think there's a single other green prisoner in the place. Well,
no, we hear about. I'm gonna spoil what the conventions are, but there's the blue, which means that you're a genius. There's the orange, which means that you're metahuman. Did they say that green is normal human?
Yes, he did. He says green is normal human. Not
then yeah, there's no. To my knowledge, there's no green character, which means that he's like the only green guy.
Well, there's one guy who shows up later who would logically be green.
Okay, I see your point on that. Well, we'll get there when we get there.
Which will make his dialogue fucking hilarious if you think about it.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely some talking points later on with that.
But yeah, and so there's a camera in the cell with which Oliver smiles and waves at, and Waller, who's sitting in the Darth Vader pod, though it's covered in cameras.
Yeah, or the episode of Black Mirror where you live only surrounded by screens. Perpetually. Yeah. That's what I got from this.
And it's implied she sleeps in there too.
I buy that she would, actually. That's if anything, that's a good.
Yeah, she just minimizes Oliver's feed because she doesn't want to pay attention to his bullshit. And Oliver then meets his neighbors on the cell block, and the guy next to him is this Japanese dude called Shock Trauma, who goes like, "Hey, fist bump," and then shocks him just to be a dick.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
And he's a real DC character.
I'm sure they all are.
Yeah, they all are. I actually looked them up, but they're like most of these are like C or D list villains.
Right. That's what I really don't understand. Like, this is his first movie. At least throw like the Green Arrow Rogues gallery in here, and you have like one. You'll get there. But come on.
I'm thinking Green Arrow doesn't really have much of a rogues gallery if you look it up.
Yeah, that is true. I guess
Arrow had to steal a bunch of villains from like the Teen Titans and
Literally, season 3 was like a Batman story arc.
Oh, it was totally a Batman Ra's al. It was Ra's al Ghul basically crossing out Bruce and his plans and putting in Oliver, please fuck my daughter.
Literally, straight up. And it wasn't Talia al Ghul. It was Nyssa al Ghul.
But Talia does apparently exist in the Arrowverse, from what I've read.
Is Oliver gonna bang her too? No, he's too dead. Never mind.
No, no. Well, because Nyssa would rather bang Black Canary.
That's very true. That's why the Arrow show is good. Sorry,
the good version of Black.
Quote.
And there's like all these other characters there. Like there's a bunch of like prisoner number 1, prisoner number 2 who don't get named. And there's also a woman called Gemini across the way, and it becomes clear through the conversation that nobody knows the prison's location.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he should have shared a cell with the Stallone King Shark, because then they could make this escape plan for.
You could. This
actually reminds me a lot of Escape Plan.
Or like if you want to like go crazy with it, you could literally just produce this script now in the context of the DCEU.
You could actually.
You could involve all those characters from the Suicide Squad that James Gunn put in there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
this could be
nuts.
the new Bell Reeve.
Yeah, but it's too bad. It's already leaked online, which means that nope.
Yeah, you could take the idea and just like you could explain where like all the characters we haven't seen in years have gone.
Literally, and have everybody return. That'd be pretty.
This is
satisfying.
this is where Batfleck has been.
Yeah, they're just trapped in this fucking Supermax prison.
Yeah, he went there to go cold turkey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna have a graceful exit. I'm out. Bye.
Okay, so Oliver is about to tell everybody who he is. Was beaten to the punch by Cameron McKent, a.k.a. Icicle, a superpowered criminal Oliver apprehended while robbing a bank vault. This guy's fucking name.
I only saw Ma Kent.
I did too.
Okay, good. I'm glad you also saw Ma Kent. Oh my god, that's funny.
So is he secretly Martian Manhunter?
Oh no! No! Oh, that scene in the Snyder Cut was so weird the second watch because you know it's not genuine.
It was so bad when I saw that because I was just like, that was a really good scene for Martha. Oh no.
No, it wasn't for Martha at all. Oh, she's like, I'm having financial problems with the farm. I'm having so much trouble. And it's like, you're not. You're fine. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, you just have to go prepare to Nebuchadnezzar for takeoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh god, I can't believe I did that. Okay, so yeah, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get back at you real soon." I'm like, and you find out that he's like one of like the class 5 prisoners who has to stay in his cell at all times. Yeah, you're gonna get back at him through the walls of your cell.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm gonna give you so many evil looks.
Yeah, I'm gonna glare at you, and then when you do your big prison break, which is the title of the film, I'm gonna be not involved. Although he is partially involved.
Yeah, he is involved.
I was thinking of, I mixed him up with fucking shock trauma.
Oh, shock trauma has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, shock trauma's out. Yeah,
I wrote his name down the first time he showed up, and then he just doesn't do shit for the rest.
You're like, I better keep track of him, and then he never revisited it.
And during the night, the cells are rearranged, and Oliver ends up right next to Gemini, who asks him what he's doing in there. He goes like, "Would you believe I'm innocent?"
Yeah.
Okay,
dude,
what's really funny about the cells being rearranged is that it's not like they move it to a different part of the prison. They just rearrange them on the same cell block.
Yeah.
And there's this whole thing about how like they move into like a black void and then slot them back into place.
Yeah, that's so weird because I have an interview with David S. Goyer, and he was talking about the script, and I noticed something he said. I'm just going to quote it. "It's a very, very awesome prison. I majored in architecture in college, and design is how I actually started in." So designing that prison, it had to be the kind of thing that was a character in and of itself. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you fucking took architecture in college, and what you got from that is this magical prison that can just rearrange only every 9 days to, like, this weird black void with, like, big robot hands moving around. Like, what the hell? What did you make? Did you pass your classes?
That was a Justin Marks quote.
Was it?
I think so.
Oh. Then I apply the same criticism. But yeah, no, because he actually wrote the damn thing. So none of it makes any fucking sense.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is very weird.
Yeah. We go to the next day where Oliver and most of the prisoners are marched out of the cell block into a now transformed prison.
Yep.
And Oliver, he passes a vaulted cell, which is labeled Joker.
Yeah, that's the cameo from Joker, everybody. It says Joker on it.
That's where Leto has been the last several movies.
Yep, just vibing out until Batman has to break him out. So actually, it does make sense, which is canon with the Snyder Cut. Oddly, very oddly.
Yeah, like we were saying, we could put this into the DCEU.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. There's really nothing that like contradicts. If this literally came out today, November 11th, 2021, this script as a movie, literally it would be like, oh my god, like this could totally work in the DCU today.
You'd have to rewrite Waller.
Yeah, sure. But even then, what the hell is she doing, that character? Bring her back. She got knocked out recently. Maybe she has to have a new thing.
Make it one of her underlings that she punished by sending them to this place.
Yeah, the fat bearded guy who's like, yeah, I love torturing people or something. Yeah, I love betting on people's lives.
But he gets a tour of the metahuman prison. He gets a tour of the place by a metahuman prisoner named Split, who is a teleporter. All I was thinking was fucking James McAvoy.
Really? Because all I was thinking was Jumper.
Another David S. Goyer movie.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. I didn't even realize that. Split, and I'm sure you'll get into it, but he seems to love teleporting, even though every time he does it, he says he like bleeds for a week or something.
Yeah.
Like he does it once in this scene, and then like by the end of the scene, he does it again for no reason.
Well, he says if he does it too much, that's when they tap the button and make him go blah. Because that's another thing the parallax device can do, is that it can like inhibit the abilities.
Really? See, I thought that he was complaining that like, oh hey, every time I use it, I can't so much as walk through a door without sneezing blood for a week.
Well, the thing is that if he teleports through a door, that's a potential security risk. So they then
okay.
So they then fuck him with it.
So it's a bit of a slap on the wrist, like, hey, don't do the thing that's really easy to break out of prison by doing.
Yeah, and so it gets demonstrated where he teleports through a door without thinking about it.
Yep.
And so they're taken to the prison yard, where they're allowed to use their powers to a certain extent, except for those who can't be controlled and have to stay in their cells, which is the Class 5. And we get to see the Floronic Man.
Yes.
Who really should be a Class 5 and kept in his cell.
Very true. You're so right. I also want to point out that the script says fans will recognize him as the Floronic Man. And I just want to be like, no, they won't. Like, I had to read that to understand that it was male Poison Ivy, kind of.
I mean, I would probably recognize him as the Floronic Man because I actually know that character somewhat.
Power to you, man, because I was lost.
He's in the Alan Moore Swamp Thing. His character is technically in Batman and Robin.
Oh, you're right. Oh, man.
He makes Poison Ivy. In fact, he made Poison Ivy in the comics.
That makes sense.
And he was in the Swamp Thing show on DC Universe that got an abbreviated season.
Yep. Oh my God, you're so right. That was.
Yeah, he was John Glover. He's the best part of the movie. And he was also going to be one of the villains of Justice League Dark, the movie.
Oh my God, fuck that. He's Mr. Savannah. He's the father of the villain of Shazam.
Yes, he is. He's been multiple DC villains because he was
I didn't even realize that. That's crazy.
He was the voice of the Riddler in Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, was he? Nice.
And he was Lex Luthor's asshole dad in Smallville.
That's wow. That's fucking crazy. I didn't realize that this guy was in so many things.
Yeah, and so there's 3 classes of prisoners: humans in green, geniuses in blue, and there's this aside about how like the geniuses, they have drugs pumped into them to make them stupid. It's like, it might be ganja.
First of all, it's not really how ganja works. Second, it's weird because why? Well, I guess I see why, but isn't that just like akin to like a vegetative state if they're like so stupid they're like playing with like children's blocks or something? Whatever it was describing them doing. That feels like torturous. That's like evil.
Yeah, and that's the most evil thing. They make a big deal about this prison being really evil, but it's kind of funny because it's not that evil mostly. Yeah.
We'll
have to get into that later.
Yep.
And like there's a mention like, oh yeah, Lex Luthor is in here somewhere, but he's not what he used to be. He's just walking around leaving piss jars everywhere. This makes more sense than, let's put him in Arkham Asylum, a place that's notoriously easy to escape.
I will say that this Supermax script with Lex Luthor being like dumbed down is a perfect prequel to Batman vs Superman, which is why he's so like stupid.
Well, then again, this is 2008, so it would probably be the spacey Lex Luthor. We all know what he would be in Supermax for.
Yikes. That is a big yikers right there. Uh-oh.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, Count Vertigo's there, who apparently they fucked up his brain so badly when he tried to jump over the wall that he's now just a complete catatonic mess. Yeah,
it's still not... That's not Count Vertigo's thing. He doesn't jump really big. That's like Spring-Heeled Jack, the famed DC Comics character. No.
Famed real-life legend.
Famed real folkloric hero / villain. No, Count Vertigo, I'm glad they have, like, I don't know, a Green Arrow villain in here. Yes. That isn't the one we're going to see later. Yeah. This is like it. We get like one as like a supporting character later, which we haven't gotten to yet. And then this offhanded reference to something that he did that he doesn't even normally do, which is jump high over a building or whatever. Oh, a wall, I should.
And also it's mentioned that they're like under the dome and like Oliver is constantly hearing and seeing pigeons flying around, which is a weird plot point.
That is certainly a plot point in multiple ways. Because it's a plot point in the sense that like the bird shit is relevant to the story. And then the birds themselves are also very relevant to the story.
Yes. It raises a few questions when we get there. But it's, guys, they soon move to the cafeteria where it's talking about, like, you have to use these flex cards to get food, and there's no utensils, so you have to eat everything with your hands.
Yeah, that's just weird. Like, why? Why not just have plastic utensils they couldn't really hurt anybody?
Give them, like baby spoons or something.
Baby spoons or, something.
You can buy those at the store I work at for, like, $10, Amanda.
I'm pretty sure if I had, 100 plastic butter knives, I don't think I could kill anybody. I think if I really tried, I couldn't. Well,
I think Oliver could.
Yeah, but he could do it by just looking at him a weird way, and he just pass out. Because Oliver in this script is to the script's credit, he's a pretty fucking crafty individual.
And all right, so he gets attacked by a group of metahuman neo-Nazis. They're Aryan Nation, they say, and they are real characters. I didn't look to see if they're actual Nazis in the comics.
Yeah.
There's a fight scene where Oliver takes these guys down really easily. And the way he takes down the final one is that he gets punched in the face, some of his teeth get knocked loose. He spits his teeth down the guy's throat and chokes.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
It's pretty funny,
wow.
too.
Oh, man. I'm sure if you were filming this movie, though, that, the actor definitely would have all of his teeth perfectly fine in a row.
In the next scene.
For the rest of the entire movie, yep.
It's like in the Blues Brothers, where they're just fine. They brush the dust off.
Yeah, that was a weird event. Better continue my life.
And Waller shocks him into unconsciousness with the parallax device. And so those giant robot claws come down and carry all of them off. And Waller meets with Oliver in her suite, and she surprisingly doesn't try to seduce him. This came off ridiculously intimate.
Yup. Yeah.
And he insists of his innocence, but she's like, blah, blah, blah. The law says you're guilty. The law is all we have. Then your kind showed up, and now Supermax is all we have. A very weak character motivation.
Yeah. No, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And again, this... if it was Amanda Waller, in other versions, say 2016 Suicide Squad, everyone's favorite movie, or even just the comics where she's leading Task Force X, you would get that background and context to understanding why she's so anti-meta or anti-person who is in this place anyway. She doesn't give a shit. Whereas this character is just yeah, I don't like them. So they're just here now, and the law is important, except when the law is very not important because I break it all the fucking time in this prison, so who cares? Yep.
And then she has him sent to the Hole, which is solitary confinement, and it's a small 7x7x7 room.
Clarified the exact measurements.
Well, it's the architecture guy writing it.
You are the sum of an individual equation of...
Ergo, vis-a-vis, concordantly.
Con-fucking-cordantly, baby.
And so he gets sent to the Hole, but the Nazis don't, from what I gather.
Yeah, that's weird. Although, I guess she is prejudiced against Green Arrow because he killed the person that she cared about, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't
Colonel
know. It's still
DJ
very
Hood.
weak. Yeah. Yeah, your guy that you don't want to... You're good at saying his name.
And the walls are covered with graffiti, including Enigma was here.
I don't care that he was here. I want to see him, goddammit.
He left one of his shitty, annoying trophies in the Hole.
Oliver's like, shit, I only need 500 more of these.
God, I hate that side quest so much.
I liked it. I'm not going to lie. I'm a big collectathon whore.
I like them okay in Asylum, Origins, and Night. Aside from the races, those sucked. The ones in City are just especially annoying. That one where you have to dive bomb onto the button to make it open up.
I know what you're talking. That took a 20-minute endeavor in my house to figure out. That one was nuts. Or
and the fact that once you start, if you even start the side quest, you have to constantly listen to that guy call you up and bitch every 5 minutes.
You mean Victor Zaz?
No. Victor's ass at least has the decency to call a phone. He doesn't hack into your earpiece.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. It's on Batman, basically. He has to pick up the phone, and, it's not really hacking in anything, so.
But okay, this is where it gets funny. We then cut back to Queen Industries, where City Clerk is like, nope. He's meeting with Hackett and Cross. He's like, nope. Power of attorney isn't enough. We actually need Oliver's consent. But it's like, but hey, he's locked away in the prison. We can't actually get to him. It turns out you can get to him. We find out.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I guess you have to hope he dies as soon as possible.
Yeah, dude, none of this is how the legal process works. And there's a worse no way the legal process would work like this scene at the end of the movie, but in any case, this is so stupid.
Yep. It is really funny. And so we go back in the hole where Oliver has been there for weeks at a time and is seemingly broken. And ants start streaming into his cell and forming words on the floor. And he thinks it's a hallucination at first, but it turns out to be Hartley Rathaway, a.k.a. Pied Piper, who was an older prisoner from the yard who was watching him and Split as they were walking around. He can control animals with sonic waves.
Pied Piper is a major plot point. That is happening right now. It's not even like a cameo. It's literally like he's there to move the plot forward. And
he's an important character, and I like that.
Quintessential. No, Pied Piper has been like the butt of like all of the jokes. Because like whenever he's on like the fucking Flash TV show or whatever, he's like the worst character. He sucks. He has like the worst power.
But I think it makes a lot of sense for him to be here because I've read a decent amount of Flash comics, pretty much all Wally West stuff, and by the time Wally West is the Flash, he actually has reformed.
Yep. And
become a hero. So him sort of being the guy that Oliver kind of teams up with here is fitting.
Pardon me, I yawned. That is a good point. That is really interesting too, because depending on how you look at this scene, you can kind of ask yourself, like, okay, is Hartley becoming more of an anti-hero, or is Queen, which is a theme developed later, becoming more of a villain? Because they keep saying, like, hey, you're basically one of us now. You have to be one of us to get out of this prison, Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
He offers to help Oliver escape and get this place shut down, saying it's torturing prisoners in their souls. And it's like, and it's also the way these scenes are described is that like he's talking through the ants forming letters, but as like a shorthand, they split screen it and they just talk.
They split screen it. The script really does go split screen style, like Ang Lee's Hulk. At least they're not like moving through the screen or something like that, or whatever. But like it's still split screen is so corny. No matter what movie it's in, you got to be like a master director to pull that off and have it not be stupid.
I feel like the way this is described, this could potentially work because it's relatively subtle.
Yeah. But I don't know. I fear the execution is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And Oliver replies, you chose your path. You deserve this. Green Arrow is dead. And Hartley is like, oh, you just need to change.
Yep.
And asks Oliver how he became Green Arrow. We get this series of flashbacks of him washing up on a desert island and teaching himself how to survive, the experience that changed him for good. It's basically like kind of a training montage where he's trying to kill this wild boar and failing, and so he's trying to make a bow and failing, and eventually he gets it right.
Yep. Yeah, which is pretty cool. That's a nice little like aside, but I mean, damn, they really are just speedrunning so much of this character's story, Especially because it, like, maybe, I don't know, if like a Green Arrow movie took place before this, we could see more of that. You know what I mean? Like we could see that developed and like be part of his story, so that when he's in this prison,
this is tailor made for the people who bitch every time a superhero movie is an origin story.
Yeah, I guess but the consequences of like it's like that for a reason. Otherwise, you get like this being someone's first movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, at least he didn't explain it to Hartley by saying, "My name is Oliver Queen. After 5 years in hell."
Oh. They all do that. Every single one does that. Every single one. I don't know why the CW is just like insistent on like this like dreary, super long monologue about the
My name is Barry Allen, and I'm the fastest man alive, except for this guy and this person and that person.
He's never the fastest man alive. Never
yeah,
once.
And Hartley says that Supermax will be a similar experience for him. He'll have to build himself out from nothing once again. and learn to trust those he once despised. And there's a line where Hartley says, "Look around you. No one deserves this." And I'm like, the Joker is in here. He very much deserves this.
Yup. Absolutely. Joker, Lex Luthor. He's done some pretty weird shit.
Maybe not the Riddler, but
yeah,
I guess
Riddler's pretty low stakes.
The one person who helps them escape, she definitely deserves to be here.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm all for, okay, maybe shut the prison down and have, like, more humane metahuman prisons, but leave the Joker there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, none of us deserve Supermax. Deep down, you know it's true. First of all, yes, they do. Second, Supermax, as you mentioned earlier, isn't even all that bad.
It's pretty chill. They let you use your powers in the yard.
The fact that people can use powers in certain controlled situations, that shocks me. That's even, like, a thing.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think. The way they talk about it, it's like, oh, it's complete jackboots in here. And I'm like, as long as you follow the rules, don't fuck around, and you don't have Waller doesn't have a personal grudge against you, you're fine.
Yeah, but that's easier said than done, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
For the plot.
Right.
And sure enough, Oliver whips himself back into shape. He somehow gets that bar down into the hole and just goes,
The salmon ladder! Yeah! No, it's not actually in the script, for those of you listening who haven't read it. But
no, it's not in there. Just imagine him doing the salmon ladder in a 7x7 hole.
He can go up like 3 whole rungs. And that's it. He stops, goes back down.
And he gets himself back into shape just in time for his release from the hole. And he gets returned to his cell, appeared completely unbroken, and Waller is like observing from a distance, trying to figure out what he's thinking. And I thought that was going to lead to her figuring something out, but she's completely blindsided by what takes place.
Yep, yeah, pretty much.
And not gonna lie, she like disappears for like 20 pages after this.
She does. This movie has a real Matrix Revolutions problem where it just diverts in the middle of it to like this completely unconnected thing, but...
at least there isn't like a 40-minute robot fight.
Thank God.
And so we go back to Queen Industries, where Hackett is met at the penthouse by Arthur King, a.k.a. Merlin, who is being escorted by federal marshals. Also, the fact that Merlin's real name is Arthur King, I just grokked this. That is so fucking funny.
I did not know that, because I know Merlin from Arrow the show, right?
Where his name is just Merlin.
Yeah, like I totally didn't even think to look like, hey, what's the comic version? And then it's fucking Arthur King, which is just amazing. But yeah.
Well, I mean, when your name is Arthur King, that would be your supervillain name, right? Merlin?
Yeah. Well, my understanding of that is that it's Malcolm Merlin.
That's his name in the show. They just made his name Merlin.
Oh, really? The show did that first?
Yeah.
That is so fun. Well, I mean, I feel like that's like a necessary decision. Because you can't keep calling your people like scot-free and all kinds of stupid shit.
No, it's just so funny. And like, he didn't even have a name like the first couple episodes he appeared in. He was just credited as Well-Dressed Man. Because remember, he was like the mystery box villain for like the first half of the season.
Pretty much.
Where he would like meet Oliver's mother in a car a couple times.
Yep, and it did do the same thing as Flash, where it was just like a evil version of the hero's powers.
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, it's Merlin, that's what he does.
That is his thing, yep.
It's really funny, because in this script, he's basically a wannabe.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, this script's version of Merlin is so, like, lackluster. Like, I feel like if I were a fan of Merlin from, like, the comics or whatever, and I watched this movie, I'd be like, really? That's all you're doing with him?
Yeah, I had that feeling, because I'm a big Punisher fan. Like, Jigsaw is almost always shitty.
Yeah, I haven't seen the what is it, Warzone? Does that have Jigsaw in it? Yeah,
that's got Jigsaw. That was my introduction to Jigsaw. Because like he has this reputation as being the Punisher's arch nemesis, blah, blah, blah. And then I actually read comics with Jigsaw in them, and he's a fucking joke in the comics.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? At least you have the Punisher.
Netflix,
yeah. Which is
well,
just,
where Jigsaw just looks like you.
Yeah, a dashing version of me. He's like, if you know what it is? It's if Mr. Krabs or SpongeBob hit my face with the Krusty Krab door and made me handsome. That would be Ben Barnes.
Yeah, all you'd have to do, right, to do that cosplay is just take a Sharpie, draw a couple little lines on your face.
Pretty much. He literally is just like my handsome, sexy Squidward version. Is like how I imagine that.
And all right, so we see Merlin is wearing those same spurred boots that Colonel DJ Khaled's killer was wearing. So he's the murderer.
Yeah, pretty much, yep.
And apparently he's been sentenced to Supermax because this is really confusing because this goes by in like a single line. So apparently after killing that guy, he went and did something that got himself sentenced to Supermax, and then the League of Assassins apparently just got tired of his shit and turned him in.
Yeah, there's a lot of, again, imagine an audience member. Who the fuck are they? Who the fuck is this? What the fuck is going on? Does he have a connection with Oliver Queen? I don't know.
I just like to think that Merlin just annoyed Ra's al Ghul so much, he just went, hey, 911.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's
I have
here.
A horrible criminal who's definitely not almost as horrible as I am, who is doing all kinds of horrible things. Go ahead and arrest him.
And Hackett's like, hey, I called in a favor. I want you to kill Oliver once you get to Supermax. It's like, hey, I can maybe grease some wheels, get you transferred to a normal prison, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, but you're his best friend. What'd you do? So he's like, he had the whole world, but he wouldn't share, which is just fucking stupid.
Oh, I hate his stupid fucking motivate.
And they explain it more later, but it's still stupid.
It's still stupid. And I know I keep bringing up if only there was a first Green Arrow movie before this, but you could see maybe Oliver and Hackett's relationship already developed and established that Hackett has a deep-rooted desire for Oliver's greed or wealth or whatever the fuck. Here in the script, he's only ever shown being Oliver's friend and defendant in court. That the twist, he wants to kill him. It's such a out of place thing. You know what I mean?
I mean, even Tommy in Arrow had a better reason to dislike Oliver, and that even happened in that stupid scene in season 1 where he sees Oliver and Laurel making out in the window while Radioactive plays.
Yeah. Well, it's a CW show, of course. It's going to fucking do a love triangle soap opera bullshit, Even Flash did that.
What makes that scene so hilarious, though, is the fact that the fucking music choice is so
Ugh, yeah. Oh my god. I can't even stand it. But we were given just this one sentence about Hackett, and so I guess as Oliver's friend, he just couldn't hack it. Bump. I'm leaving the show. You got to finish it on your own. Sorry, I'm logging off.
Gotta edit in the CSI. Yeah.
Oh no, absolutely not. Oh.
And so back in the prison, Blockbuster, who's this big dude who was in the scene earlier, and I guess he got sent to prison because Netflix put him out of business.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the script that are just big dude.
Yeah. And some of his thugs, they attack Oliver in the showers, so this almost goes American History X.
Oh.
But he manages to defeat them by yanking wires from the wall and letting them touch the wet floor while he hangs from the shower head like a monkey.
Yep.
They just shocks them.
Yep. Oh my god.
And this is just here to remind you that Blockbuster is a person.
Pretty much that's it. I can't... I don't know. Blockbuster, even though he's in a lot of scenes, is it weird to say that it feels underdeveloped?
Yeah.
Because I feel like he's just yeah, you gave him screen time, but what are you doing with it? You know what I mean?
Establishing that he's an asshole.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, some other DC movies spend the entire runtime establishing that their character is an asshole. It's called Green Lantern.
Yeah, no. Amongst the DC movie adaptations, this is easily the better half. This is the top half.
Yeah, I mean, Green Lantern, it's the Jerry Maguire of superhero movies because it's just the main character being an asshole or being told he's an asshole.
Yep, and somehow still getting chosen for all these things that an asshole should not be chosen for.
And it's similar to The Mummy 2017.
Yeah. Dude, that whole fucking thing was just Tom Cruise saying whoa, no, wait, stop, whoa, no, come on. It's Shia LaBeouf all over again from Transformers.
I was about to say that.
Oh my god, I can't stand
it. Gosh. You've been watching too many Transformers movies lately. One
is too many. Gonna say it. But yeah.
I can still sit through the first one, but...
I enjoy I will defend the first one. All right. All the shit I give that series, I'll defend the first one. And Bumblebee.
Yeah, Bumblebee's good.
Yep.
And even the bad sequels would still be much better if they fucking toned down the running time. Jesus Christ. If they were 90 to 100 minute movies, they'd be so much more tolerable.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, but okay, so soon after, Oliver meets with Hartley in the cafeteria, and they begin to plan the escape in earnest. Oliver asks if the parallax devices ever need battery replacement, and when Hartley says no, he deduces they're only effective within a certain radius. And so they begin to assemble a crew. They'll need the blackout security, and Hartley informs them of a Class 5, those who never leave their cells, named Jin, a man who can transform himself into binary code and possess machines, and once blacked out New York City, so he'll effectively act as an EMP. So he's Neo.
Oh, yeah, straight up. He's like super Neo, because he can do it like in the real world with just like thinking. I guess Neo can do it in the real world. So yeah, he's just Neo.
Sort of. If he's in range of the machine's Wi-Fi.
Yeah, he can hack into their router.
And he is actually a comic book character. He's in the first arc of the Ostrander Suicide Squad.
Really? That's nuts.
And Justin Marks also wrote a Suicide Squad script around 2011, and Jin features in that too.
Wow. Well, okay. Hell yeah. We're in there. It's better than Hackett, which is just invented solely for the script.
Hackett. So they didn't get Hackett to hack it?
They didn't get Hackett to hack it, and they also invented Diggle for the show, too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Diggle's not in this.
Yeah, same situation.
And so to get the means to break out Jin, Hartley introduces Oliver to Abel Tarrant, a.k.a. the Tattooed Man, who can make his tattoos into real objects, which is a cool power.
Tattoo Man is just that villain from Elektra. I'm going to say it.
Oh, God.
I'm going to say it.
I have never seen that, but I know about it.
Well, it's in our commentary, of course. It's too good.
Yes, of course.
Oh, man. No, yeah. And you know what? To your credit, Ian felt this way too. It is a very cool power, but I associate it only with that bad movie.
Or like that guy from Days of Future Past who can give himself powers by having tattoos.
Yeah. The fuck's up with that?
And so and I actually wrote this in my notes. He functions as the Morgan Freeman of this prison, the guy who can get things.
Yeah, straight up. Because this is just like a blockbuster version of Shawshank. No pun intended.
Yeah. Get busy living or get busy supervillaining. And so they give him a list: a preferably lithium conductor with pre-cut holes and joints, an LED, a crystal oscillator, a storage switch device, and a stick of gum. He's like, why the gum? Force a habit.
Yeah, an old habit.
So he can get everything but the oscillator, as he can only make simple technology. So he has to make that one piece by piece. But he agrees to be paid after he agrees to do it after a week's worth of flex cards. Yeah.
How did Oliver Queen get that many flex cards?
Fucking stole it like the milk money.
Just like everything else. God damn it.
He had to go back to his younger, arrogant self to do that. And that night, Oliver starts tracking the movements of the cells by using he rips the threads from his pillowcase.
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
Yeah, that was. And so he determines that they're on the 9-day cycle, and he discusses this with Hartley while the prisoners, including the self-replicating multiplex, play a loud game of touch football, which covers their discussion from the mics. Yes, this inhuman place, they allow you to play football.
Yeah, oh my god. That's just breeding disaster. Are you kidding me?
Because they're going to use their powers to win.
Oh, 100%. Especially because you are, again, letting them use their powers in certain situations. Ugh, what?
And so Oliver comments that all they need now is a way through the dome surrounding the prison, and we see him steal some salt packets from the cafeteria. And so while Tarrant has a tattoo kit smuggled in via a Walkman and begins inking the items needed. So if you can smuggle stuff in, this place is not that secret.
No, it's not. Not at all. And also, their plan isn't even to smuggle it in. Tattoo Man has his own way of getting it.
Yeah. So who knows? And so Hartley controls some rats to carefully tunnel through the library wall behind a panel. And he says that they specifically are avoiding alarm wire.
Okay. All right. And I guess that tracks.
I have questions about where the rats came, considering where we find out they are.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. Oh my god, dude, you just blew my mind. Okay, so audience listening, if you haven't read the script, there is a twist coming that makes the rats so weird that they're in the script now that I'm thinking about it. That's nuts. Oh my god. Oh.
And so Terrence, he he sneaks the parts over to Oliver in the shower where they see that he has scraped the new tattoos off his skin in order to keep the guards off him. So I don't think that's how tattoos work.
No, not at all. Nope. I'm still thinking about the rats. Dude, there's ants here too? How? But again, we'll get there.
Yes, we'll get there. Unless the rats came with them in, like, the build ships. But
that's a lot of rats. Like, that's like one rat per person. That's nuts.
And Oliver collects the pigeon shit in the yard.
Yep. Yeah. That is
like, he points at them and goes like, those are Samoan pigeons, meaning they're in the Pacific somewhere.
Yep.
This is just escape plan with Stallone.
Straight up escape plan. And the reveal that's going to happen in like the next 20-ish pages makes the birds like a little more confounding. Like, why would they even do that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How did they predict that somebody would even assume or whatever? It doesn't matter. But like, that's crazy.
And they discusses with Hartley the need to get through the doors, so they go to the library to recruit James McAvoy.
Yep.
Split.
Crawling up the walls.
Yeah. And then, so they'll need someone they also determine they'll need someone who can control tides once they're out in the Pacific. So Hartley introduces Oliver to yet another Class 5, a woman named Cascade whose body is like made out of liquid.
Mm-hmm.
And, by the way, she shot a tidal wave at the French Riviera and only 42 people died.
Yep. That tracks totally. Freaking.
I'd say this person very much deserves Supermax.
100%. 1,000%. Yeah. Especially considering that Supermax, again, isn't that bad. Oh.
But he relents when faced with Oliver's like, no, I don't fucking want this person with us, which is understandable. And he's like, but he relents because he needs to. He's like, I'm going to be on your ass the entire way home. And then Gemini, who's not stupid and has figured out what's going on, and by the way, she's in the script. She approaches Oliver to join the group as she wants to see her daughter again, but he's like, nope, can't do it.
Yep.
And there's a flashback, which this doesn't really clarify anything about her criminal past, just that there's a nightclub where some kind of crime has taken place, and she slips out in the crowd by taking the form of somebody.
Yeah, I don't get this at all, because it looks like it's going to show us a scene, and then it just cuts away from the flashback immediately.
I'm like, what did she do in that nightclub? It could be really bad or not that bad, depending on...
I sure wish the movie would have showed me what she did in the nightclub. Oh, well.
She wrote, Waller sucks on the wall in her own poop.
Yep. S-U-X, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then finally, because they need someone who can float them back home, Oliver reluctantly recruits Makent to make use of his freezing powers.
Oh, yep. Damn. What an eclectic group.
Yes, yeah, very.
Like if you thought like Suicide Squad was like B and C list villains, wait till you see the fucking Prison Break group from Supermax.
I don't know. These guys are still more of a coherent team than like Slipknot.
Oh, but he can climb anything. Anything. Dude, they should have made, instead of Count Vertigo, have Slipknot be the guy who climbed over the wall and went crazy.
Yes, it should be Slipknot.
It should have been Slipknot, baby. Let's get it.
Fucking Kickin' Wing from Joe Dirt.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
And so Panatti gets a video call from Cross telling him his debts are almost paid, and he only needs to do one more thing before his son's sentence is erased. And I'm like, is his son in Supermax too?
No, it's a normal prison. And
yeah.
I don't understand the prison. Like, do the people that run at the prison, do they live at the prison? Because we're going to find out, you can't really go home easily.
Yeah, there's no commuting.
There's no commuting. How do you get to work every day?
It's so funny. This is going to tie into a Massive Implications episode pretty soon.
I could Massive Implications the fuck out of Green Arrow Escape from Supermax.
Yes,
right?
you could.
I feel like they kind of are. I feel like that's also kind of right now.
I should just retitle this Massive Implications.
Spin-off episode.
Yes, we locked Jokewood in the closet.
I give you full permission.
But soon enough, a new prisoner is brought to Dayblock, and it's Merlin.
Yeah, of course.
And he goes to throw up in his cell's toilet, but he uses it as cover to remove a false tooth and the length of wire attached to it, which is hidden down his throat. And they say in like a minute that it's razor wire. That would fucking kill you.
That would be insane if that was true. That'd be nuts. Like,
also, apparently this prison did not search him very carefully.
Not
he had
at all.
a piece of wire tied to his tooth.
Yeah, that's like pretty obvious. Just
Unless
look in his mouth.
Panati is the guy in charge of the cavity search.
Yeah, pretty much.
Man, you got wire coming out both ends, man.
Oh, jeez. Fucking, you have to do a colonoscopy before entering the prison. Otherwise, you can't enter. Oh, man.
And Oliver soon meets Merlin in the yard, who arrogantly all but admits to killing... I'm not going to make the joke again. Killing Khalid, and clearly views himself as a better archer when compared to Oliver. And he's even like, I'm better than you in every way. I'm a better shot. I have better fashion. Why are you wearing green? That sucks. You should wear black. And what's really funny about that is, since he's also a normal human, he should also be wearing green in this prison.
Oh my god, you're right. Wait, what the hell? I didn't even think about that.
I didn't think about that until we were talking.
Oh my god, that's funny. Green's a tribal color. You should have worn black. And they're just stuck. Oh man, that's funny. And then he's like, so he's like, he's being petty. You're right. He's just being like, okay, I'm better than you. I'm better shot. I wear better colors, except now because I might be wearing green, I guess. But then he leans forward and he's like, someday people won't remember you. They'll remember me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why? Nobody gives a fuck who Merlin is. Everybody loves Green Arrow in this world. Like, they cheered him on, and they were very sad when he got locked away. Like, you're not gonna become the new... Get the fuck out of here. You have no standing or basis. Unless maybe you did and we didn't see it off screen.
Well, I mean, he is like the arch nemesis of Oliver Queen.
Sure, but definitely not in this movie.
No. He's really... I actually do kind of like Merlin in this just because he's really funny. He's so ridiculous.
He is pretty ridiculous. I will give you that.
Imagine if this was the Arrow Merlin.
Oh my... I wouldn't have watched the show for so long. Oh my goodness.
And so basically, Merlin, he secretly scavenges bits and pieces from around the prison, wood from a bench, wheels from a laundry cart, bits from weights in the yard, etc. And Oliver begins mixing the salt he stole with the pigeon shit he collected, putting them together in tube socks.
Yep, that is definitely a point in the story.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. I know. I'm dreading it coming, but it's coming.
And Hartley checks the hole in the library again and lets Oliver and the team know that they're now ready by towing a line in the yard.
Yep. It's very cool and very secretive. They are so badass.
And so we then get another ant split screen conversation. Hartley's like, Oliver, I once threatened to nuke Los Angeles. I'm not actually a good guy, just so you don't get fooled by my affable demeanor.
If I were Oliver, I'd be like, all right, it's kind of a weird aside, but can we get this prison break going? I mean, what the fuck?
And then Oliver's like, you know how I escaped the island? He's like, he tells about how he escaped the island because a drug runner was using it as an opium farm. Why it took him 3 years to show up, I don't know.
Yep.
And he's like attacking Oliver, and like Oliver had to kill him in self-defense with an arrow, and then he took his rowboat and escaped. So yeah, this island in the middle of nowhere, you can reach with a rowboat.
Yep.
Like, change it to a speedboat?
Yeah.
And you might have... Now, that actually has a thing. I believe in the comics it was being used as like a drug farm.
Okay.
And so later, while the rest of the team wait in their cells, and it's like a real like montage here, Oliver is led out to do late night janitor duty on the block.
Yeah.
So yeah, hellhole prison, eh?
Hellhole prison, but you gotta make sure it's squeaky clean.
Well, I mean, they obviously can't have a maintenance staff for reasons we'll get into.
No, I didn't.
Well, Panati lets Merlin out of his cell to kill Oliver, and we see that he's used the scavenged items to craft a makeshift bow and arrows. And I'm like, I'm someone who's done archery. I know a bit about bows. I don't think this bow would actually work.
Okay, so like those materials he's making them out of, like, I'm sorry, but no. You would have a better time if you like, because like I'm sure the bed frame is like some kind of wood or metal. Just fashion that into something. I don't know. Because all you need is like a curved stick and a string. And yet he's like, I want this specific item and that specific item.
I don't know if a curved stick and a string would actually work.
You know what? I will challenge you on that. I'm going to build my own bow tonight out of a curved stick and a string. And I'm going to see if I can shoot anything with it.
Okay, film it. Put it on the channel.
Yeah. I should try it Oliver's way as like a control group. I'll build it the way that he's building it in the script. And then I'll build my own.
You're gonna put razor wire down your throat?
Yeah, I gotta put my money where my mouth is. I gotta do it exactly like the script demands, and then do it away with a stick and a string.
Knock out your tooth, put in a fake tooth.
Spit the tooth at a Nazi, daily stuff.
Yeah. And so Oliver makes his way to Jin's cell, and he uses an aluminum piece to reflect light at the camera nearby, and makes his offer to Jin, who accepts. And so he turns out he used all those things he requested from Tattooed Man to make a crude flash drive.
Yeah. So maybe if you Google all this stuff, it'll actually make a flash drive, but I'm very dubious.
Probably 4 bytes of memory.
He shoved his, like, you'll see later, but he spat out his gum and, like, shoved wires into the gum, and the USB is like, oh, a ground. What? yes, he does that. That's how he gets. He uses the gum as like a conductor to attach the USB thing to the cell and allow Jin to transfer. Yeah, like what the. I don't know. You know what? I'm not an expert. Like, I'm also not an expert on curved sticks and strings, so maybe I'm just out of my element here. But, like, then I really don't think so. I really don't think that's happening.
Yeah. Also, how much memory could there possibly be? I know this is like comic books, so I shouldn't be talking about this. But is there really enough memory on there to fit an entire person on? Because, I mean...
it's like 2 megs.
I mean, even in Chappie, he had to like, lash a bunch of PS4s together to transfer consciousness.
Yeah, that was fucking hilarious, considering that PS4s are not that great at fucking consciousness in terms of, like...
No, they don't. I had to get a friggin' hard drive just to stop having to delete stuff.
Right, I am in the same boat. I haven't yet, but I'm pretty close.
Yeah, I had to buy a 1 terabyte hard drive. But okay, so what happens? Yeah, he uses the gum to connect it to the steel door, so he gets Jin into the flash drive. He's like, "Are you there, Jin?" And like the light on it blinks. Dunk, dunk.
Yep.
And Panati takes over the security room guard shift and watches over cameras as Oliver moves into the laundry, as well as Merlin following him, and he switches off the monitors. I'm just thinking of Burke and Aliens.
Yeah, pretty much.
When they recreated that shot in Stranger Things.
Yeah, pretty much. Identically.
And so they're in the laundry. Merlin attacks Oliver with his crude bow. He takes out the lights. One arrow misses Oliver. One Oliver catches in midair and breaks in half.
All the shit that, like, Merlin was talking earlier, like, I'm a better shot than you, Oliver has never missed in this script.
Yeah, right? Merlin's just talking shit.
Yeah.
And then, like, one more arrow gets fired. He picks up an aluminum panel from, like, the floor. And, like, he like, bounces it off the panel, off the wall, and then it hits Merlin's face, cuts his face open, and I guess it gets stuck in there.
I don't know what the fuck. Like, this is such a weird scene because, like, okay, you've done archery. If an arrow is flying from a bow at you, even if you were, like, bullseye accurate, you can't just, like, whack an arrow into a wall and have it, like, have any momentum at all to, like, fire back at the opponent.
Yeah,
come on.
It's not a bullet.
It's not a bullet. Or, like, a bouncy ball where it just goes boing and flies all the way back. Like, come on.
It's so funny, though.
You probably just break the arrow.
And that's Merlin, basically, for the whole script.
Literally, you've reached the end of Merlin, folks. Have a great day.
You get like one more scene with him, like, unconscious in the infirmary, and that's it.
Yep.
It's mentioned at the end, and then that's it.
Pretty much. It's just...
I'm so much better than you. Ow, my face.
I'm more accurate of a shot. I've missed 3 times and died, almost.
And then Oliver just takes the bow for himself.
Yeah. And that, again, that's why I thought that it was going to be like a double cross. Like, you gave him that as a purposeful thing to get the bow. Like, that would have made more sense, right?
Yeah.
That'd be cool. But whatever.
And before he can he's like beating Merlin, trying to get answers from, like, who hired you? Where's the trigger?
Where are the other drugs going?
Do I look like a cop? But the alarm rings out, and a squad of guards led by Panati stream into the laundry. And then Oliver then just jams the flash drive into a USB port that just happens to be next to a door. I guess they're all USB compatible.
I think this is the scene I was talking about earlier where they literally just, like, fire and rain hell onto Oliver.
Yes, that's it.
And he's fine.
Yeah, and so it's like Jin just, like, blacks out the prison. And so Waller's, like, sleeping in her chair, wakes up. This is, like, the first time we've seen her in forever.
Yep.
And the guards, they try to deal with the havoc wreaked by Jin. Split and Cascade escape from their cells, with Split teleporting to the cell door control to let all of the prisoners out.
Yep.
So we got a riot up in here.
Pretty much.
And we're going to stage a riot, and we're going to walk out the front door.
Yeah.
We're going into Austin Powers.
Pretty much. And this plan is going to work to great, hilarious effect in the coming pages.
Yeah, Dr. Evil's plan actually worked better.
Yeah, it did.
And so Oliver makes it back just as the emergency lockdown doors start shutting, and Split uses his abilities to help them open the door. Basically, he goes through the doors, hits the switch on the other side, opens them, so they can head for the library. And McKent just tries to kill Oliver with an icicle, but then Cascade slaps it out of the air and goes, "What the fuck, dude?"
Yeah.
I somehow managed to only kill 42 people with a tsunami. Don't kill the guy who can help me get out of here to try and do it again.
Straight up. And you know what's funny, too, is like the script, when Merlin first fires the arrow at Oliver, the script describes it as like, Oliver sensed the motion in the air and only he could have been smart enough to dodge it. But then fucking this icicle is literally going to like kill him.
Yes, that's
point
right.
blank. And she has to save him.
Also, one thing I find really funny is that, like, there's a quote from, it's either Goyer or Justin Marks saying that how, like, oh, there's not going to be any costumes, and they're not really going to be using the code names. We're going to be using real names. But, like, there's, like, characters like Cascade.
Yep,
and,
that
like,
are just called Cascade.
Who just don't get a name.
Straight up. Absolutely.
Gemini.
Yeah, Gemini. At least fun names. That's our legal God-given name is Cascade.
Yep, and then they run into another Cascade Jones.
Pretty much.
Run into another snag when Blockbuster shows up, punches through Split, and kills him, bartering the use of his super strength to bust through the doors in return for letting him escape with them.
I mean, he is the guy who said, "Hey, I'm a C-list villain. What do you expect?" Which was a solid meta line.
Oh, God.
I would have killed him right there for that, just alone.
Yes.
Oh.
What's your superpower? I'm rich.
Yeah, classic. Only Oliver Queen's ever said that.
And so he's like, we're busting through doors. But then they come to an emergency door that's especially strong. It's out of his super strength ring.
Yep. It's super, super strong, as opposed to like just normal super strong, which a super strong guy could take care of.
Yes, and so there's a guard on the other side approaches and surprisingly opens the door, and it turns out it's Gemini, who was being really smart and taking the form of a guard to escape, but then came back to help them.
Yep. Yeah.
So she gets to come with too.
Yeah, they just get to tag along. You know, it's basically just invite anybody to this fun show.
And then the technicians, they manage to contain Jin somehow. You know, they use their Norton on him.
Their antivirus software.
And when Waller sees that Oliver is missing from his cell, she sends a Checkmate Spec Ops team after him. And their trackers show 6 parallax devices behind the library wall. But all they find is the hole, with 6 rats carrying the devices that they chewed out of the prisoner's arms. Like,
That's gotta fucking suck.
That's a serious wound, and they never bring it up again.
Never bring it up. Oliver's got to, like, bandage that, maybe cauterize it. Oh, he's got to get tested for, like, fucking, rabies and all that shit?
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
They're fucking AIDS rats.
Yeah, straight up. You don't know. Hartley doesn't know. You can just talk to them.
Yeah. It makes me think of that scene in The Mummy where they cut the scarab out of his arm.
Yes.
And they don't bandage the arm.
They don't. Dude, that was nuts.
And so they find themselves outside the prison walls, inside the massive void where the robotic arms rearrange the building pieces. It's just those huge robotic arms from Portal.
Yep, exactly.
And they jump from structure to structure, reaching a vault door on the outer wall of the void, which is a weird sentence. And then Oliver gets his tube socks out because apparently decayed pigeon shit and sodium mix together and make an explosive. So he's MacGyver.
Yeah, no, he's just like a mastermind. He should be getting those like offsetting your genius level intellect drugs or whatever the fuck. Like
yes, he should. He should be getting the ganja.
Yeah, he gets the ganja in the blue shirt. What a weird fucking sentence.
Yes, and so he grabs an arrow that he took from Merlin and uses the spark to set off the bomb. So he's lucky Merlin showed up.
Yep.
Blowing open the door, and I forgot to look that up if that was actually a viable explosive device.
Yeah, I simply do not care. I know that methane, cow farts have methane in them, and that's very flammable. So maybe birds are the same way. I don't know.
Maybe, possible.
Even if it does make logical sense, it does not factor into the stupidity of the script at all.
And so we get the first of 2 reveals like in a row.
Yeah.
They find they're in another dome with cages full of pigeons and an LED screen showing the ocean.
Yep. Like literally the world's largest LED screen dome.
So Waller put pigeons in here on the off chance that someone would see them and think they were in the Pacific Ocean. And just on the off chance they got through the vault door, she put a fucking massive LED screen to fuck with them.
Straight up. Like, this is like the weirdest, like, of all the places to spend your jillions of dollars that it needs to build this place, like, why would you spend it there? Just fortify the prison. Make it harder to break out of. Oh,
yeah.
What the hell?
And so Blockbuster punches through this wall, and they follow a duct to a vent and the outside world, which they discover is not the tropical Pacific, but rather Antarctica.
Literally Antarctica. It's like the weirdest...
Dun, dun, dun.
Like, do you know how, like, many years, even if you had infinite money, it would take to, like, go to Antarctica with, like, a team of, thousands of people and just work, like, 10-hour days in Antarctica, don't commute home, and just build this thing endlessly. Like, are you kidding me? Oh.
Yeah, it would not be able to stay secret.
Not at all. Nor could they actually pull it off. I would challenge that, like, even if, like, assuming money wasn't an issue, you probably couldn't do this. It just wouldn't be logistically possible. Because where do you keep everybody? How are they going to eat while they're working?
You gotta have Dozer to feed them.
Right. You got to feed the whole crew. Oh, man. What a time.
Yeah, and it's another reason not to go to Antarctica if we went back to Pangaea.
That is true, which is another massive implication. Man, you are just plugging my channel left and right. YouTube.com/hot quality content.
Just imagine if they punched through the wall and instead they were in space.
With the way this story is set up, I would not put it past them. If anything, it might make slightly more sense if they were in space. Because at least NASA could have built something like this and sent it to space. As opposed to like burrowing into Antarctica.
And then everybody gets sucked out into space and dies. And that's the end of the script right there.
Pretty much. My God.
There's actually, I don't know if you listened to my ludicrously long Alien 3 episode yet.
I did not.
There's a script, there's a draft in there, which is set in like a space station prison. And like at the beginning of the third act, like some alien blood like hits the wall. Or like something causes the wall to blow open and literally the entire population of the prison gets sucked into space and dies. It's so funny. Except for like the main cast.
No, of course. Yeah. You kill all the characters except the important ones.
Like Suicide Squad.
Exactly. Yeah. Plot armor is pretty tight.
Especially if you're Will Smith.
Or if you're Oliver Queen, the most normal guy in this whole prison.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And a nearby mountainside opens up, and checkmate soldiers on vehicles begin the pursuit, so they have a hidden mountain hangar.
Yep, they definitely do.
And before they can run for it, Cascade is frozen solid and shattered by a bullet fired by their pursuers and killed. So you got your much-deserved death, Cascade.
I guess so, for, those 42 people dead or something.
Yes. It's so funny. She reaches out to Hartley, and she's like, Hartley, and I'm like, I hate to break it to you, babe, but Hartley Rathaway is a canonically gay character.
Oh, yeah. That's so funny.
And so Oliver then takes the only arrow he has left, modifies one of the fins, shooting it off and taking down 5 Snowhawk motorcycles at once.
Was it 5? I just thought it was 3.
It says 3, but there's 5 of them, and they drive off on them, so...
So maybe 5 showed up, Oliver killed 3, and then the other 2 were like, I'm gonna go home.
Yeah. This guy's got bullseye powers.
Yeah, I'm out, Chief. He did that with 1 arrow. I'm done. But yeah. Yeah,
God,
no, this is a weird sequence. Because like this, along with like the gum USB stick that he created, forged from nothing, was like Queen is basically just like, whatever the script needs, he can just do it. Make it, Now
we come to the obligatory James Bond snow scene.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which every Bond actor has to have one, except...
Yeah, every single one. And then the best part, too, is, like, they jump on these things, and not to spoil what happens, but they jump on these things, and it's like, all right, let's go just drive off. And then literally, like, the next scene, it just fades to them running out of gas, and they just keep walking. It's not very extravagant at all. It's like a letdown. Yeah,
they basically take the motorcycles and the people who are riding, take their cold weather gear, and the downed men are soon found And this is reported back to Waller, who's watching everything from her cameras. The pursuit continues. There's a gunner in a helicopter who takes out Ma Kent's motorcycle.
Not Ma Kent.
Martha.
Martha. Why'd you say that name?
Only for him to turn into his ice form and keep flying away so he can fly.
Yep.
And Gemini falls off her Snowhawk as well, and Oliver turns around to go get her, kicking up enough snow to make one of the Checkmate mono wheels, which are literally dudes sitting in a powered wheel. It crashes into an ice wall, and they all seem to disappear into smoke and rubble, so the soldiers, they keep looking around and they leave. But it turns out McKent's made an ice barrier that they all hid under.
Yep.
Don't know how that would work, but
yep.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is it like an igloo? Did he start from the ground? Or is he just holding like a really heavy kind of square, you know?
I feel like that would be very noticeable, actually.
Yeah, incredibly. I mean, ice, first of all, ice is pretty fucking heavy. Second, it's not like translucent. Like you're gonna be able to see this big block of ice.
And so Oliver finds a map in a glove compartment, which I guess is on the motorcycle?
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna assume, or they took their gear and it was in their gear, but
because he says he finds it in a glove compartment, which is usually something in a car.
Right. Yeah, but if they took their gear, then why did they Okay, whatever. We'll get to that. We'll get there when they get there.
Yeah, but it pinpoints their location as being 30 clicks south of the Vinson Massif, which I looked and it is a real location in Antarctica. But it's hard to determine what's south in Antarctica since it's all down there.
Yeah. There is no south of anything. I guess south would just be toward the South Pole, geographically.
Yeah, I would guess so. But I mean, Oliver, you're not in the military. You don't have to use clicks.
Yeah, that's true. You could just say it's
And they're they don't have enough fuel to make it to a port on the coast, but they keep pushing forward so they start to pass out from the cold.
Wow, what a loose This is why I don't get, because they got they got the Checkmate guards gear. This is what I was mentioning earlier, and they're all right, now we're ready to go in the snow, and then literally immediately, because it fades, they're okay, yeah. Well, we're out of gas, we'll just keep walking, and they walk and they suck at walking and they just pass out.
Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me with this. But whatever.
And so 2 men in snow gear soon arrive, and they lower the unconscious people into a bunker. And Oliver comes to and discovers that they've been saved by the father and son team of Liam and Mick Blaylock, who tend B6E, or Beta 6 Echo, as they say, Ireland's last Antarctic research station. Yes, they seriously named an Irish character Mick.
Oh, wow. Jesus Christ.
What, they want to get Liam Neeson to play Liam?
Don't you dare.
And they offer to help the prisoners who are pretending to be stranded miners in Antarctica get to the coast in their snowcat. They were mining for what, the Thing?
Yeah. yeah, it's not very believable. Which is funny because
past this script.
Yeah. There's
But get the Thing showed up, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, this is definitely it could be in the same world, 100%.
But they help to get to the coast in their snowcat, and McKent even keeps Blockbuster from killing them.
Oh, McKent. Sorry, we keep laughing at it, but it's worth laughing at multiple times.
Ma Kent and her favorite Blockbuster.
Yep.
Exploring the station, Gemini finds C4 wired up on the ceiling of a corridor, which she really should have mentioned sooner.
Absolutely.
While Queen and Hartley are perusing the station's library, and there's all these religious philosophy books and stuff.
Oh my God.
And then Blaylock walks in, but Oliver then finds a book where it's the Checkmate logo, which is their operations regulations. That's the book that would open the trapdoor.
All right. First of all, freaking Queen picks up a book, and it's about Paul the disciple. And fucking Harley walks over and he says, I quote, "Ah, yes, the prophet Paul." You can't take any statement seriously that starts with, "Ah, yes, indeed, I am familiar with such riveting literature."
And he's not a prophet.
He's not a prophet. Oh, man, that's funny.
He's not even really a disciple. He was just some dude who came along later and called himself one.
Kinda, yeah.
That's the story in the Bible.
Yeah, hot take. That's most saints. Got him. But yeah, no, it's really funny because like Hartley is made out to like it's like what a teenager thinks is cool is what they're writing Hartley to be. Do you know what I mean? We're like, oh, he talks in ants on the ground because he's so cool. We're gonna make a split screen style so you could like whatever.
Also, I love how the fact that Checkmate brands everything.
Yep.
They're like Umbrella.
Yep. You watch our reviews, you know that's like the biggest, stupidest thing that like secret organizations do. Like Spectre, people wear like Spectre rings, fucking
their decoder rings.
Decoder rings.
Yeah,
fucking.
Yeah, I was rewatching Thunderball, and the Spectre rings are so huge.
They're so
big.
big.
They just wear them out in public.
Dude, they're so. I don't know if it's from Russia or the third one, but one of them has like Spectre Island. Like they flat out bought an island.
From Russia.
Yeah, from Russia. They named the island after the secret organization trying to take over the world.
Yeah, it's from Russia because Goldfinger doesn't have any Spectre in it.
Yeah, that makes sense. They sometimes and sometimes don't.
Just imagine if Thunderball retroactively retconned Goldfinger to have been working for Spectre all along, like they ended up doing with Skyfall.
Jesus, man, that'd be nuts. Ugh.
First of all, these guys are supposed to be they're supposed to be kind of undercover, right?
Yep.
First off, it's really funny that Amanda Waller apparently put these two people out here in the middle of nowhere just in case of an escape.
Yeah, on the off chance they escape, Checkmate's plan is not to restrain them, but to put them, like, kind of pick them up and then let them unrestrained, unbound, just kind of be in the cabin and just, hang out together and be like, hey, we're lying, we're a research station, haha. It's like, why even go to the trouble of staging? First of all, why stage the Truman Show twist? Why even put the LED screens there? Why buy the pigeons? Why buy specifically the Pacific pigeons on the off chance that somebody like Oliver shows up, which happens to be the case? And then why, if everybody breaks out and makes it in that specific direction? Oh man, this Checkmate's plan is just the worst. It's the worst plan. Like, come on.
Check and mate.
Oh, baby. Fucking got him.
Chess reference. Yeah, for people whose names are chess reference, they're not very good chess players.
No, not at all. They're pretty bad at it.
I will say this sequence with these two people is where the script kind of dips.
Yeah.
Because it's got its silliness.
I would count this as a flaw of the script. Yeah.
It's got its silliness and some kind of dumb stuff before this point. But this is where it just kind of is like, okay, this is where it really needs reworking. It's like the last 30 pages or so.
Yep. And then, like, as you get closer to the end, I think you're right, it does start to trail off. Like, honestly, the very end, which we'll obviously eventually get to, it's kind of like a quick, wishy-washy ending that could have been expanded on.
Yeah.
So, this is exactly where the script starts to go down.
Okay, so Blaylock, who was Checkmate agent all along, which he hid so well by putting the logo in plain sight.
Yep.
He pulls a gun, shoots Hartley in the chest, and I actually did go like, no, when that happened, because I actually kind of liked him.
No, Hartley, that's the character. Hartley, no.
Stop, don't do it.
I imagined that being delivered by like a bad actor. Like, Hartley, no. Like, that's how I pictured it when I read it.
Imagine the Willy Wonka delivery.
Yes, the sarcastic one. But not intentionally, though, like that.
And so that's our second death.
Yeah.
Well, third.
Kind of third, and also kind of fourth? No, not team member. You're right, third.
Split.
Yeah, Split.
Cascade.
Yeah, and obviously Merlin didn't die A, and B wasn't on the team, so.
Yeah, Merlin's not dead. Merlin just goes, ow, my face.
Ow, my face, because of your, like, momentum gaining hit, or whatever. Defies laws of physics.
And so here we go. A helicopter, he's like, Checkmate doesn't, he threatens to shoot Oliver. He's like, Checkmate doesn't want me to kill you, but I'm allowed to make exceptions.
And I'm still not going to. I'm going to talk about how I can kill you near you with the power to kill you, and then I'm going to choose not to every single time.
And then, we see there's a helicopter lands outside. The Checkmate soldiers are arriving. And with his last breath, Hartley controls some rats and make them jump on the Blaylock from an air vent. And Oliver uses the distraction to smash his face into a wall and knock it out. This guy gets knocked out like 4 times.
Dude, he's going to have some serious head trauma. Like, he might be losing some, like, memories.
He's going to have to go to Dr. Deadshot for his concussion.
Ugh. Not Dr. Deadshot.
Dr. Deadshot, who can't even shoot in time to the music.
No, he can't. Oh, that's like the worst part.
No, that's not the worst part of that movie.
You're correct. You're absolutely correct. I jumped the gun.
No, this is Katana. She's got my back. That's the worst part.
That's the crown jewel of that movie. I don't know what you're talking about. That is where the movie hit an apex of good.
And Blockbuster and Gemini enter the room and they're like, what the fuck? And Oliver warns them of the danger. And all the while, Checkmate soldiers begin to enter the bunker. They're being guided by Waller, who has been watching the inside all this time via camera. She has cameras set up in there.
Yep.
They were unconscious. They could have just cuffed them and waited.
Yep. Straight up, like I said the same. Like, come on, man. Like, none of this makes any fucking sense. God damn.
Instead, they were like, oh, Faith and Begora will help you get out of here.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we're just a research station from the Thing. Basically, we're just chilling. You can hang out. You can vibe for a bit. You know, you can walk.
No, wait, this is the Norwegian base because of what's about to happen.
Ah, that makes total sense. Oh man,
is this the better Thing prequel?
No, I'll still say no. No, yes.
Okay.
Whatever. I can't decide. I really can't.
Inconclusive.
Inconclusive evidence.
And so McKent knocks out Nick with a piece of ice he shoots at him, and he traces moisture to help them find another way out. He leads them to a hatch in the wall that leads to a maintenance duct, and Blockbuster just runs in there first, crumples the hatch shut, going, mwahaha, and then leaves them to their deaths. And I'm like, the way he's described, I don't believe he can fit through this hatch.
No, not at all. Absolutely not.
And so Oliver gets another idea, and so Gemini takes Blaylock's shape to get close to a Checkmate soldier and take his gear, using his smoke grenades to give cover to the other prisoners, who make a break for the snowcat in the garage. And while Gemini takes out all the soldiers while under the smoke cover, the rest of them get pinned down by Blaylock, who is up again and has an Uzi.
Yep.
Oliver fights him. Once again, Oliver is bulletproof, knocking the gun out of his hands and hitting him multiple times to knock him out again.
Oh, my God.
And so Gemini reconvenes with Oliver and McKent, and they take the snowcat out of there, and as the smoke clears, Waller sees that the soldiers have all been taken down and sets the base to self-destruct, which kills everyone left alive in there, including the Blaylocks and Blockbuster, who is still climbing a ladder out of the maintenance shaft when the fireball hits him.
Yep, a conveniently timed fireball, of course.
Yep. And it kind of tries to make you feel bad for the Blaylocks right before they die, but it's like, no, they're assholes.
They're assholes, A. And B, we've had, 1 or 2 pages worth of them?
It's close to 10.
Close to, really?
But in it's like most of the 80s and into the 90s.
Wow, that's crazy. I honestly, when reading this script, I felt like they just showed up and then the twist happened. You know what I mean?
They're there for a little while longer before the twist happens, and they're there a little while after it.
Yep. They're not even a thing. They're just a non-entity in my mind.
And so we go to Port Lockroy on the coast, and Waller has the port's foreman thermal scan every shipping container on a freighter that's going out, but they missed the fugitives as McKent has used his ice-forming abilities to block out the heat.
Yep. Okay.
Is that even... Do you buy that?
If they're only scanning temperature, yeah. But if they're using literally any other device, if they're scanning for X-rays or something, anything, any other thing that isn't temperature based, then yeah, no, they would be fucked. It's a good thing that they only check the approximate average temperature of the contents without looking inside of each crate.
Yep. And so Gemini has begun to despair, which finally gets Oliver to warm up to her because he's like, I'm probably never going to see my daughter again. Blah, blah, blah. And it's really funny. There's all kinds of refuse and garbage in there, and McKent's like, oh, we can just eat that. Also, I looked up Port Lockroy. It's a real place, but looking at it, it's a teeny tiny little place. I don't see massive freighters coming in and out of there.
Yeah, definitely
maybe
not.
Tourist boats.
Well, it maybe in the DC universe where this meta prison exists and they spent $8 jillion on it. I mean, how many crates do you think come out a day? There's got to be
makes sense.
I would say 1,000 people regularly living in that prison. Guards.
That's where that's where all the shit goes when they flush the toilet. It goes to
the crates,
security crates. Yeah.
Ugh, no. What about the bird shit? Did they clean the bird shit? What if the bird dies? Do they ship the bird out in the crate?
The bird shit that Oliver didn't collect.
Right. Exactly. It just stays there.
The prisoners have to clean it up because there's no janitor staff.
It's almost like a prison based in Antarctica is a very bad idea. Logistically.
Yeah. You might as well just put them in a helicopter and just dump them out over Antarctica.
Yeah. Yeah, that would kind of, yeah. Like, that would be your best bet.
Okay, so time passes, and Waller has like a video conference with the president's chief of staff, who says like, oh yeah, you should probably keep looking, even though she thinks they were all killed in the explosion, because apparently the explosion was so hot it just melted their bones to nothing.
Yeah, right, of course. You know, we have like people remnants of their existence from like Pompeii, but you know what? A small explosion in fucking Antarctica is gonna like, yeah, that fucking whatever.
Yeah, the bones at Pompeii were left over. They pulled them out of the holes and then they filled it with plaster, and that's how we have those statues.
Yeah, exactly. You get it.
Yeah. So so he's like, oh, you gotta keep looking. So the freighter finally arrives at Star City. That's convenient.
Yep. Yeah, wait.
McKent,
I didn't think about that. It went directly to his hometown. It didn't go anywhere else in the world.
I'm just thinking of like there's like a Three Stooges short that opens with them having stowed away on like a horse cart on a train, and they're like shooting craps as it comes into the station at the beginning, and this guy knocks on the door and goes, "Who's in there?" And Curly goes, "Nobody, just us horses."
Literally, that's Icicle's defense. Like nobody, just low temperature.
But no, so they either went all the way around the world just to get to Star City.
Yep.
Or it went straight there.
Yeah, pretty much.
But McKent goes his own way, and that's the last we see of him. Which I actually kind of like that, because it wouldn't make sense for him to stay with Oliver Queen.
It would not at all.
And Oliver is just like, I'm going to give you one more chance. So you better clean your shit up, boy. And then Gemini's like, I'm going to stick with you.
Like, at a certain point, I know Oliver is so self-righteous, but, like, at a certain point, he's got to, like, relax to the whole I'm a hero, you're a villain thing. Like, y'all are trying to break out together.
He does say it with, like, a smile.
Yeah, I guess so.
But watching the news, well, we go to Hackett, who's watching the news about the breakout.
Yep.
Where he gets a call from Oliver.
He's in
and
a
then
towel.
We go, yeah. That way you know he's douchey.
Yeah.
And we then go to the Supermax infirmary, where a medic who's working on Merlin, who's unconscious, informs Waller that they pulled this arrow out of his face. And you're like, oh yeah, we also found the spare parts in his cell that he built a bow from. And so Waller's like, she's like, get me the security tapes.
Yep. Oh.
And back in Star City, Oliver and Gemini rob a Goodwill to obtain some normal clothes. Nice Robin Hood move there.
Yep.
They even make a joke about it.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't catch the joke.
This is where they really start speed running things. They head to the city's metro station to meet with Hackett, and Gemini scouts the place out and alerts Oliver as he's approaching Hackett, pointing out there's feds and cops everywhere. And Oliver's like, no, my best friend.
Yeah.
It would have been a better scene if he had already figured this out.
Pretty much. I mean, the friend thing, I've already gone into the friend thing quite a bit, but like, I guess never mind. We're good.
Yeah. And so he flees. And then Gemini helps him escape by transforming into an old Chinese woman bumping into a cop. However, the cops keep pursuing Oliver, and Gemini just fucks off and goes, you deal with it.
Yeah.
He flees into a shopping mall, steals a pack of pens to use as darts that he throws at guards. He karate chops a cop in the throat before he gets away by clinging to a bus as it swerves.
Yeah.
And then runs?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, when the script clarified that he's walking away from Hackett, and he happens to pass clarified description, an older Chinese woman, I was like, oh, it's Gemini. Why would you even, why would you spend the time to tell me who it is in the script if it wasn't going to be important? You know?
Yeah, then that whole older Chinese woman thing reminds me of like that whole thing about Oliver Queen being in China or wherever in the show.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be in Hong Kong, and they clearly just filmed it at some park in Vancouver.
It's just straight up. Yep, and they were like, this is the vast city of Hong Kong, and it's not at all.
There's literally an episode where the flashbacks are just him walking through a park.
Yeah, dude, the flashbacks not being on the island were hilarious to me. Like that was the point of Oliver's thing where he's like first finally coming back to civilization after 5 years. He's like, no, he's been fine. He's living life. It's not even that bad for him.
And so Gemini decides she's not done with Oliver, and they decide to team up again. And so we go back to Supermax. Waller has traced Merlin's activities to Panati and proceeds to implant a parallax device into his arm and torture him with it, which gets him to give up his employers.
Yep.
And we get no word about his son.
None. No, that was like the point of the character, I think. None. Not important.
And we then go to Oliver's hidden safe house where he retrieves his backup gear, full costume, bow, arrows, etc. And he then goes after Hackett at his penthouse, blowing open a window with an explosive arrow and zip-lining in. So
Yes.
yeah, we got Green Arrow back.
Yes, dude, that makes me so fucking stoked. There's some sick-ass Green Arrow action in this part. And I'm really, like, mad that it took, like, 100 pages to get there? Like, come on. This is what... this is great. This is fucking great.
I mean, you still had Oliver Queen being cool.
You had a very cool Oliver Queen, but...
being bulletproof.
This is like the third or fourth total minute of Green Arrow screen time.
But before he can do anything, though, 2 guards burst in, forcing Oliver to use a flashbang arrow and 2 tranquilizer arrows to deal with them. So we got the gimmick arrows, baby.
Yes, please.
While Hackett flees out the fire escape. And so Waller, she's arriving at the Star City airport because apparently you can fly from Antarctica to the Pacific Northwest in like an hour.
Yeah, pretty much.
She's got one of those super jets, I guess.
Private jet that keeps like perfectly fueled and stored in Antarctica in the prison.
Yes.
Ugh. Yeah.
And so Oliver follows Hackett up to the roof, who for some reason went up the fire escape instead of down.
I don't know why Hackett would go up. If I were Hackett, I'd be going down. I'd be getting the fuck out of there.
I'd be fucking hiding.
The guy that I betrayed like 5 times, who keeps coming back no matter what to get to me, like he's after me. I'm not going up. Well, he could throw me off that cliff. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and so Hackett like fights back at him with a fire axe. So this is kind of turning into Quantum of Solace.
I was thinking again, Thing 2011.
Yep. And so Hackett, he's ranting about how it's like, I spent all my life cleaning up your messes and I could never get rid of you, even when I tried. And that gets another flashback where we learn that Hackett pushed him off the boat.
Yeah. Again, this twist would be so much more impactful if we
knew anything about him.
If we knew anything about fucking Hackett, if you knew anything about their fucking relationship. Because, like, without context, it's like, great. Who cares? You know?
I mean, the idea that he had to put up with Oliver even when he was an insufferable rich kid, that does add more to the motivation, makes it a little bit more credible.
But
we don't see anything of Oliver from that point in his life, so we don't know how bad he really was.
We don't. Like, even after reading the whole script, you're like, okay, well, you're only told that Oliver was a bit of a douche, you know? What's the worst thing he's ever done that we see? Get drunk? Ooh.
I mean, in Arrow, he banged 2 sisters.
In Arrow, he had, like, the best life ever until that yacht.
Yeah. Yeah, he banged Laurel, then he banged Sarah when she was played by a different actress.
Yeah, exactly it.
So yeah, his whole motivation here is just dumb.
Yeah. It would have been good if this were, like, again, the second or third Green Arrow movie, where you had this context to build off of.
But here's where it gets even worse. He's like, you never offered me a share or a partnership or anything. So when Cross came with his deal, I just had to accept it. And I'm like, it's been 9 years since he came back. Oliver Queen has demonstrated himself to be this generous guy. You know this. You did a whole speech about it. You've been working with him as Green Arrow, who's protecting the homeless and stuff.
There's no way that...
You know what he is. Why don't you just ask him for shares?
Right. There's no way also that Oliver Queen would be like underpaying his right-hand man who was also his attorney.
Yes.
Like he's probably making like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, this dude. So like what the fuck is he like, oh, I wanted a share of your company. Did you? Yeah, you're right. Did you ask him for a share? I'm sure he would have given you a fucking share.
I'm sure he would. And even if he wanted to get rid of Queen, he still didn't like him.
Yeah. And
he had a very easy out. Because he knows all about the Green Arrow stuff. He could have, 9 years prior, he could have just called up the cops and said, hey, this dude's Green Arrow, come get him.
Yeah, and if you really want to be like an asshole about it, you could just blackmail Oliver and be like, hey, I'll tell everybody who you are.
Well, the Deathstroke approach.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was really funny in season 2, where it became clear that Slade's only move was to walk up to people Oliver Queen knows and tell them that he's the Arrow.
That was his main thing, which is just hilarious.
That was so funny. That scene where he broke into Laurel's apartment just to tell her that and then leave.
Literally, that's fucking hilarious. Oh my god, dude.
Okay, so they continue to fight, but 5 of Hackett's bodyguards burst onto the roof and open fire, and Oliver just jumps behind a skylight for cover.
Yep.
Bullets can go through glass, dude. Also, he's bulletproof again.
Yeah, he's very bulletproof. Resistant.
You're telling me I can dodge bullets?
No, I'm telling you won't have to. They'll just go around you with magic.
And 2 police helicopters fly in, opening fire, forcing Oliver and Gemini to duck for cover while Hackett slips off to a near... Oh yeah, Gemini shows up and fights off the guards by, like, turning into one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But so, she draws off the fire. It hits a gas main that causes a huge explosion, so she disappears. It looks like she dies. You know she doesn't, but...
Yep.
And Oliver uses the cover to follow Hackett, who slipped off down to a terrace, and he trips Hackett up with an arrow that wraps him in wire.
Yep.
It's like this huge. It's like this huge spool of wire just comes out, like more wire than was down Merlin's throat.
Yep. And then Hackett, we're at that part where he's like, "Trick arrows, what a throwback!" Which, like, a throwback to what? This is his first movie, and we've never seen a trick arrow. What are you talking about?
Meta, Jake. Meta.
Only for people who are aware of comic books. My mistake.
And so then a 3rd helicopter arrives. It's a checkmate helicopter with Waller in it, who orders the police to stand down because he's under my jurisdiction. And Oliver considers killing Hackett with a crossbow, but backs down and lets himself get arrested. He gets flown back to Supermax and thrown in the hole again, all of this seemingly for nothing. And this is where I thought Amanda Waller was going to come through. Like, we'd find out that she was just, she infiltrated Supermax to, like, figure out what was going on there.
See, I also...
Or that she would have an arc where she came to understand Oliver, but here it's just,
I also kind of thought that, because, like, she was so mad at Oliver because she thought Oliver killed that guy, but he didn't.
But now she knows he did.
And now she knows that she didn't. I thought she'd be like, oh shit, I really tortured this literal hero, because for, like, no reason, so I gotta go ahead and, that would also, not to write a better movie, but that would add to her arc that she's talked about already, where we only have the legal system. Well, the legal system failed because the legal system was manipulated to put someone who didn't kill someone in that Supermax. So now she could have that, like, holy shit moment where she gets to, redeem herself or whatever. But no, the script doesn't really do any of that.
Yeah, it just leaves it.
Leaves it alone.
But then 3 weeks later, Hackett meets with Cross, and thankfully it just says that in dialogue, who pressures him to get the paperwork finished to complete the acquisition. And at the Star City Journal's offices, this is where the script just really speed runs the ending. The staff find an envelope pinned to the door with a green arrow. And back at Supermax, Oliver is taken from the hole to the VIP visiting area, which apparently that exists now.
Yup.
Where Hackett is waiting with the acquisition papers, and so Oliver is not talking, and Hackett's going on yet another rant. Which
means that Hackett could have the whole time gone to Oliver in Supermax to get this interview.
Yeah, Merlin was not needed.
He could have just been like, "Hey, Oliver, I'm your friend, haha, sign this."
Yeah, he didn't. Merlin didn't need to cut himself up with razor wire down the throat.
Yeah, internally.
And then Oliver enters the room from behind him, escorted by several federal marshals. Yeah. And the Oliver behind the glass transforms, is revealed to have been Gemini all along, so I guess she can't mimic voices.
Yeah, look, this isn't how the legal system works. Like, not even a little bit. Just because somebody makes a testimony that they killed someone doesn't mean that the guy who has been framed gets to make an entrance at the prison with, like, a cool one-liner, and then people arrest you. Like, what? None of this, like,
yeah.
Oliver would have to literally be like, "Hey, police commissioner, do you mind if I show up and, like, before you arrest Hackett, who, screwed me over for many, 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 many years, let me just walk in and say, like, a James Bond style, 'fuck you, bitch,' and then everybody comes in." Like, what? You gotta be kidding me with this.
Also, when did they make the switch?
I assume,
before, no. as they drop down to the terrace, I guess.
Maybe? Because Gemini would have to be impersonating him when Oliver had him in the throat, in the crossbow in the face, about to kill him, and then the people drop down and arrest, which means that wait, how much of that was Gemini?
Ooh, spooky.
It's very spooky, or glossed over, one could say.
And it turns out that Merlin became a born again and confessed to killing Khalid under Hackett's orders, and the marshals take him away. More like he confessed under a severe fucking beating from Amanda Waller.
Straight up. Like, that's not admissible in court. Again, not how anything works.
So Waller, who is watching a news report about how the whistle has been blown on Supermax, is soon arrested by the marshals as well. And I'm like, then how did Oliver get the confession?
Even better, though, is the report you're talking about says that, oh man, there's allegations against the Thing for a variety of violations, including guard corruption, collusion, and 32 flagrant abuses of the Geneva Convention. Only 32?
They're not prisoners of war.
I would argue, well, I mean, yeah, you're right. If they're not prisoners of war, but even if we are to apply Geneva Convention rules, I would argue the parallax device itself is a flagrant violation of the Geneva Convention. Like,
yes.
Or what about Truman showing your inmates? That's like psychological torture. So is that like mid-tier violation, not flagrant?
I mean, the Geneva Convention forbids officers from having to do manual fucking labor. So, which is a major point. If you've ever seen Bridge Over the River Kwai, that's a big sticking point that Alec Guinness likes to bitch about.
We haven't yet, but we're going to very soon.
Oh, it's so good.
It's coming up. It's like 4 or 5 episodes away.
Oh yeah, but she gets arrested. That's just confusing because it feels like they were moving with a different direction with Waller, and then they just didn't do it. It feels like they had like a certain amount of time to turn the script in, and so they just rushed the ending.
Right, you're right about that too, because like there are actually more than one point where you think Waller is like going to go in an interesting direction, and then they just don't use her.
Yep. And so it goes. So Oliver visits Cross is about to be arrested by the Star City PD, but he apparently manages to break open his high-rise window and fall to his death in like a second.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. This is all like with like 2 minutes left in the movie too. Like we're wrapping up light speed.
Light speed, huh? No, that's Flash.
Yeah.
Okay, and so Oliver visits Gemini at the Supermax, saying that she might get out or at least get transferred to a different prison, even though she's doubtful about it. And he's brought her daughter, Rouge, to see her. Weird fucking names in this family. And he reveals that he's taken her in, because that's how adoption works.
Yep.
The Bruce Wayne rules.
I get to just own this person now.
He says, I'll take her in. She can live at my place. But he apparently has like a bungalow he's living in now.
Oh, man.
He's also negotiated 1 visit a year for her.
Aw.
Which you would think with all these reforms they're trying to institute. You would think with all these reforms they're trying to institute, you would be able to get a little bit more.
A little more than once a year. It's like, time for your annual visit to literal Antarctica to say hi. Because their whole interaction is like 2 sentences, and then Oliver's like, all right, time to go. Get the fuck out of here.
You got school in the morning.
It's school in the morning. Fucking Antarctica. You're going to get there by the time school starts if you start flying there now.
Yes. And so Hackett gets escorted out by the marshals on a jet, and he's crying like a bitch.
Yep.
While Waller is ushered into a helicopter, and Oliver is leaving on the helicopter right next to hers, and she's going like, how can you do this? I thought you were one of the good guys. Like, I am. And he gets into his helicopter and leaves, and it ends.
It fades to black, yep. Yeah, that ending, man, there's
the last 30 pages of this,
it's so
needs the most rewriting. Like, even with the dumb shit early on, like Hackett kind of sucking, this is a very enjoyable script. That it's just the third act isn't great, and that last 10 pages especially need fixing.
Yeah, it really needs like another couple passes and stuff like that to like improve.
But I feel like this is a good first draft.
It is a solid first draft. I mean,
I've read better first drafts, but
that's like the thing you do.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, I've read like second, third, fourth revised drafts. I've read better first drafts than this, but I've read worse.
Yeah, no, overall the script is not horrible. I mean, after we reviewed the Dark Universe Van Helsing script, I really did expect like another dumpster fire. And this script isn't perfect, like by any means, but I can see an audience watching this movie, and despite like it being out of order in terms of being like not the first episode of Green Arrow's life, generally I think that people would enjoy this movie. I mean, my God, if DC used this to spawn the DCU instead in like 2010, what a world we'd live in.
Do you think this would have been a hit?
That's tough. I think
That's impossible to predict.
impossible to predict. Also, if you actually,
I think it stood a chance.
yeah, I think if you make it for not $200 million, I think it'll definitely be a hit.
I don't think it would need 200 million. This is contained enough.
Yeah. I think the main issue of the script is the fact that, and like I've been mentioning, but this is the first Green Arrow movie, and it's not structured to be. I mean, the average audience, we keep talking about it, has no idea who Green Arrow is. So from their perspective, they see him be a superhero for 3 minutes at the beginning, and then he spends the entire script in prison, and then right at the end, you get some pretty cool action, and then it's not even actually Green Arrow because fucking Gemini just did it. And then it wraps up, again, super fast and it ends. So, like, if you're going there for, like, if you are a fan of Green Arrow, you are disappointed because you don't get to see Green Arrow. And if you aren't a fan of Green Arrow, then, well, this is your first step into the world of Green Arrow and DC. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Okay, where does this rank compared to the seasons of Arrow?
Oh, okay. I've only seen 3. So I shouldn't rank 4 when I only watched episode 1 of season 4. So
Oh, it was a pretty bad season.
I'm doing it anyway. Bottom rank would be episode 1 of season 4 of Arrow. And then I would probably put them. All right. I'll start from the reverse way. I'll go top rank is season 2 of Arrow. I think it's the best, maybe the best CW season ever. Is the second season of Arrow. Then season 1 of Arrow. Then I'd probably put this over season 3 by like a hair.
Oh,
Like it's barely, because I didn't hate season 3 of Arrow. I thought it was a weak season, but I think it had positives. And this one's kind of in the same boat. But I think I'd rate this one higher because
then at the bottom is just the season 4 premiere.
yeah, it's way at the bottom. It's just a premiere solely that episode.
Yeah, but I think it would have been a good movie. And like there was talk, like it seemed to get a lot of buzz when this was first turned in and they like officially announced it. Like it got a lot of buzz. It seemed like, that there was like some excitement over it. Like the script leaked and got reviewed almost immediately.
Pretty much, yeah. That's why I was like into it. I never read it. Obviously, that's why I'm here doing this. But I knew it got leaked, and that was like what 10 years ago, and it's like wow,
2008.
My God, that's so
13.
That's like as long as Oliver spent since he freaking was in the island, in the water. That's longer than that.
Yes,
but yeah, no, I heard about the script existing. I heard about it leaking, and honestly, it felt like such like a weird move considering that DC at the time really was only doing Batman movies and trying to make Green Lantern.
And Superman Returns.
With Superman Returns that like just came out at this point.
They were they were developing a whole bunch of shit too.
Developing Justice League Mortal and all kinds of shit.
Wonder Woman, Flash.
Yep.
The Wachowskis brought up Plastic Man again because they wanted to get some cred back after Speed Racer Bomb.
Right. And fucking, I think Joss Whedon was doing Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah, he was. Well, that would have been canceled by this point, I think.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, like that was like his draft is 2006, and I think they canceled in 2007.
Yep. Yeah, no.
Oh boy, that script.
This script seemed interesting because I heard that it had like, oh, dude, it has cameos from fucking Joker and Lex Luthor and Riddler, and I'm thinking like, okay.
References. It has references.
It's just like very
Riddler
slight
gets
references.
Riddler gets the Robin Williams cameo from Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle.
Absolutely, where it's like, hey, I was here that one time. That was me here.
And I wrote my name on the wall.
I wrote my name on the wall once. Not even fully. It was Enigma. Which literally it's how the wordplay goes because it's an enigma.
But to sort of fill in the gaps here is that it kind of went quiet. There was mention around 2009 of maybe Goyer was like, oh, we might bring in another writer. And then it just kind of went dead. And then later on around 2015, they talked to him and he mentioned that, well, the executive that was in charge of that project was really into it, very supportive. But when they showed it to the higher ups at Warner Brothers, they're like, why do we want to make a villain movie? Like, we could just make Batman and Superman.
Yeah, and they're also...
Which is a total Warner Brothers move.
They're kind of right, too, because, like, if you put out a Batman movie, it makes, like, shitloads. Because the last 2 Dark Knights made $1 billion, And, like, Man of Steel, controversial as it is, still made, like, what, 600-700 million? So...
But it was still considered a disappointment.
Yeah, you can just cling to IP for as long as you can. It's like what fucking Universal did with Dracula's and Frankenstein. They just keep whoring out the sequels without trying. So why introduce new characters? Who fucking needs them? Just keep recycling the same shit. So this is,
but yeah,
it is a creative idea.
It was an interest. It's actually like an interesting idea that doesn't follow the template.
It doesn't follow the template, and I keep ripping on it for not being like it should be
The
the second or
template.
third one. But like as a first entry, confusing as it is an interesting. Like you're right, it is a subversive first story for a superhero. You know, like it's not an origin story, but it does brisk over the origin in parts. And I feel like we still haven't seen a lot of introductory superhero movies that are like this, structured in this way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But yeah, that's Escape from Supermax, a flawed but entertaining read.
Flawed but entertaining. That's a perfect way to describe it. That's exactly what I would call it.
Yeah, and so with that, until next time, be sure to check out Hot Quality Content. I'll put the link below.
And yeah, definitely check out youtube.com/hot quality content. It's in the description. We have all kinds of cool stuff coming out on the channel. I don't know when you're going to edit and upload this, but I assume it's still 2021. So we have...
It will be by the end of November.
Oh, tight. So on December 25th-ish, Christmas Day, whatever that Saturday is, we have a very special Christmas-inspired Double Down chosen by Mud. So we're very excited about that one.
And with that, bye!
Catch you later.